What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another preview stream as we face Leicester this weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 5:30 kickoff. I was about to say under the lights, but probably won't be. It'll be, some of it will be under the lights, that's for sure. But it's going to be an interesting game this weekend. I mean, Leicester on absolutely shocking form at the moment. I think they've lost every single game apart from their first game, which they drew with Brentford after being 2-0 up. And yeah, if you look at those past 5 games, just L's everywhere for Leicester. Spurs unbeaten so far in the league. But, you know, with the Leicester side, I know they've been in terrible form, but they do have good players and they can turn it on occasions, can't they? And, you know, they're always good for a goal. They seem to be scoring a lot. It's just that at the other end, I mean, they're just conceding over 2 goals a game, 2 goals minimum a game.
Yeah, and it's a bit different to when they were at their best under Brendan Rodgers, which is when maybe a couple of years ago, when they used to be quite a kind of like a counter-attacking team. They used to kind of wait for players and use Vardy to hit them on the counter-attack and attack the space. I think nowadays they're a bit more offensive, but I think the structure seems very, very broken in the moment when it comes to Leicester. They seem still threatening going forward, but they're all at sea at the back, and I think that's really hurting them at the moment. I think the players, Rodgers, are not quite believing in the project right now, and I think there's a kind of misalignment at Leicester in terms of where the club's going.
In the project at the moment.
I'm saying, yeah, Rodgers and the players.
Yeah,
it's a problem. It's a big problem for them. I think every time I hear him speak, he seems to be lacking motivation. Not thinking positively about the situation. It kind of seems like they just want to get this season over and done with already, and it's only 7 games in. It's unbelievable. So we have to take advantage of that situation. Obviously, we have to make sure that we're not going into this game so confident that we take it for granted that we're going to win. They still got dangerous players, but as long as we're doing our jobs defensively, I think there will be chances for us going the other way. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, and if you look at the past 5 games between Spurs and Leicester, obviously a lot of goals in these games historically, but winning 4 out of the last 5, 1 loss coming in at 2020, which was a 2-0 loss at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But apart from that, I mean, goals absolutely flying in this game, and I got a feeling it could be something similar this weekend. But when you're looking at this Leicester project, what has gone wrong? Because when you're looking at maybe a year and a half ago, when we were taking callers about Daniel Levy and stuff like that, a lot of people were calling up being like, Leicester are the team that we need to, the Leicester owners are one of the best owners in the league. But this summer, they haven't invested at all. They've kept players that are running down their contract and stuff like that, which is going to not stand them in good stead at some point because they're not going to get as much money in as maybe they could have got done. But what has gone wrong at Leicester?
I think they've found it really tough to compete with the top 6 when it comes financially, when it comes on a footballing sense. Even them, Leicester have had very good recruitment. They've got very decent players like Tielemans and Didi for like good prices and things like that. But they haven't been able to keep up the standards they set for themselves. Obviously, missing out on the Champions League twice after having big points advantages going late in the season, that probably really hurt them. And last season, they've missed out on European football completely, and that really, really hurt the financial side of the club. And the Leicester owner said that Leicester at the moment have to kind of just spend within their means. They have to kind of sell to buy because they've been spending big money recently and big wages, and now they're out of Europe, so they don't have that European money coming through. So to comply with FFP, that's the situation of the club. So I think maybe when people look at us and people say, yeah, look, there's been no trophies, but you know, we have been for now, I don't know how long you could say, probably at least 10 years, maybe a bit longer, been either consistently competing with or consistently in and around the top 6. And, you know, people take that for granted. But you see Leicester, they've done it for 2 years and they've struggled to keep it up. You know, West Ham do it for a year and struggled to keep up. And it's not as easy. It's not such an easy thing to do what we've done, develop that. So I think from that point of view, maybe it needs a bit more credit. But Leicester fans would argue, maybe the other fans would argue, Leicester have won an FA Cup and they've won a league title in that time. And that can make all the difference. But where their club is heading at the moment, I mean, our club and their club are going in 2 different directions, in my opinion. And I think it's just difficult when you drop out of European football and maybe you're not that financially stable, you're relying on that money, this is where they're at. And thankfully, we're in a bit better position financially than that.
Yeah, and when you're looking at Brendan Rodgers, he cuts a very distraught figure at the moment, and he's saying stuff like, this isn't the club it used to be. He's bemoaning the lack of transfers, sold big players as well this summer. Kasper Schmeichel went out the door, and having to rely on Ward, who doesn't seem like a very good keeper at all.
Oh, he's been terrible.
Yeah, and Fofana as well, going out for 70 million to Chelsea, and they didn't replace him. They just didn't replace them. They were just like, all right, fine, we're just going to let him go for 70 million. And then after that, you're thinking, all right, maybe they are going to spend a bit this summer, but they only brought in, what was it, one player after that? And who was that player?
There was from Rennes. I think he was a defender. I think they brought in a defender from Rennes,
right.
I think it was, but not like a big name or anything like that.
Yeah.
They haven't spent at all. But I don't think how Leicester fans would like, and even Rodgers seems to be unhappy with the transfer market. When it comes to Fofana, obviously he spent the whole summer trying to get out of Leicester. They ended up settling for 70 million. But do you think it was a bit disrespectful what he did? Like, because they gave him, like, while he was injured for a year, they gave him a 5-year deal. They like really backed him and said, look, I know we know you're injured, but we believe in you. We're going to give you a big contract. And then he goes and forces his way out in the first chance he gets.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because he's got his own career to worry about, first and foremost. You can't just be, as much as everyone wants to think there's loyalty in football, the players are thinking first and foremost about their careers. That's just the honest truth of the matter. And when you're looking at where Leicester are and where they're going, he's probably in and around. Obviously, he was in and around the dressing room. I don't think there's probably too much of a good vibe going on there. Brendan's not happy. The players aren't happy. So he's probably thinking, what am I sticking around for when a Champions League club are coming in for me and really want me to be part of their project? So I mean, you could say it's probably disrespectful on one hand, but on the other hand, he's thinking of his career, and you never know if he's going to get. I mean, he's probably thinking, oh, am I going to get this opportunity again? I mean, he probably would have done, but you never know if it will come around again.
No, I get that. I completely understand that. I'm just saying, when the club have shown the support that they didn't need to at that time, when you have got a big injury like that, to give you that big, long contract at a time where you're at your lowest, to then treat the club like that at the first opportunity when you can leave, there's just a bit of must leave a sour taste in the mouth for Leicester.
It probably does, but everyone can completely understand where he's coming from. I mean, if it was a club where maybe the situation was different and they were flirting with where they were flirting with maybe a year or two ago, then I think it would be a bit more disrespectful. But everything's a mess around there at the moment. Brendan probably seems like he wants to leave. Even if the manager is cutting a figure like Brendan is, then no player's going to want to stay at the end of the day.
That's absolutely right. And it's just it's an interesting one, because Leicester were, at least you can say the last 2 years, maybe not last year directly, but before that, they were our direct rivals, Leicester. You have to say that. They finished above us, I think, for 2 years in a row, didn't they? Or 1 year?
Well, when they won the league?
No, recently I'm talking about under Rodgers. They finished above us. They when under Mourinho.
Under Mourinho, yeah.
I think twice.
I thought it was once. It could have been twice, but
I think twice they finished above us.
Wow.
No, maybe it is once, but they definitely finished above us at least once, and threatened. They finished fifth back to back, didn't they? And then obviously people are looking at them and thinking, what a well-run club, they recruit well, they go in a good direction, they won the FA Cup. But now look at them. It's a very, very bad situation right now, Leicester. But is it a case is it as easily solvable as with Tottenham, where we were in a bit of a mess? Let's not be like a year ago under Nuno and the whole Mourinho tenure. You could probably say a similar thing to us as we are about Leicester, but the right appointment has sorted us out, kind of. Not totally, but on the way there. Is it as easy a fix for Leicester, or is it a lot more deeper than that, do you think?
I think it's a difficult question, first and foremost, but I do think they've got good players there. They've got the likes of Maddison, Tielemans, Barnes, Indeed, James Justin, who I think is a really good player, Dewsbury Hall as well. I really rate him coming through the ranks there. I think they've got the nucleus of a good squad there. I think their defence is pretty much shot to pieces. I think they definitely need reinforcements massively in the defence. But I think if a manager comes in with a few fresh ideas, and I think they can definitely make something out of this season. But I think if Brendan stays there and it keeps rotting and rotting, they've got a real chance of going down this season. And if they do go down this season, I mean, all these players are going to leave in the summer. It's just the facts of the matter.
But when you say make something out of the season, what does that mean for them? Because they're not in Europe, they're not challenging the top six.
Top half finish, maybe mid-table, somewhere around there.
Top half, yeah. I mean, at the moment, the competition is so big at the moment. Top half is looking difficult, but I guess that'll be a success from this point after losing 5 of your first 6 games, and they just look all over the place at the moment. Leicester, whenever we're on the pitch, they don't seem to be trying very hard. The pressing isn't there. The kind of that mentality and aggression to stay in games and defend right and do the right things. And then you still got players like Tielemans who wanted to leave. He was clearly wanting out in the summer. It didn't happen for him. Maddison was heavily linked. These are their best players, and only one of them got the chance to leave. But there are players still there who definitely wanted out. Vardy's not getting any younger. You know, I think age is starting to catch up with him eventually,
Absolutely.
and I think it is now. So it's very difficult to see what Leicester can even do this season right now. But maybe a new manager, someone who. It's difficult because Rodgers the problem? I don't know, but it needs a bit more of a positive vibe.
I think
everything
has kind of come to a head, and they've let it fester now. Ever since, I don't even know when it started, but they've let it fester for so long. They didn't reinforce in the summer, and I think that if they brought in a manager with fresh ideas and the players that they have now really come together and show that they want to fight for that football club, you never know what can happen. I mean, you saw when Leicester won the league, they probably had a relegation team or a championship team that actually won the league. I know it was a freak thing that actually happened that year, but they proved that if you dig deep and come together and really work as a team, magical things can happen.
Is it like us at the back end of the Pochettino era? This
could be. Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, it's just the thing that it's just gone completely stale there, and they just need a guy to come in with a fresh approach. And it feels like, to me, Brendan Rodgers is just biding his time to get sacked.
It's like he wants to get sacked, isn't it?
It's what it seems like.
Yeah, which is an awful situation for them. In terms of... if you look at their lineup that we think they're probably going to go with, if you look at the 4 players, Tielemans, Maddison, Barnes, Vardy, these are players who, at their best, were hurting the best defences in the league. They were very good.
All of them are top players. I mean, indeed, a lot. He was linked to the biggest teams in England at one stage. Maddison, I think he's an absolutely fine player. You saw the stats he brought in last season in a troubled Leicester side, and even this season he started well. I mean, last year he got 12 goals, 8 assists. Harvey Barnes got 6 goals, 10 assists. You know what I mean? So I mean, these players showed that they can do it at the top level in the Premier League. They've got players as well like Iniacho and Daka, who came with big reputations, who haven't really done it just as of yet. So I think that they've got really good attacking talent, and it shows as well this season because they are scoring consistently in every game. They do create chances, they do score goals, but it's the other end which really is worrying, where they can't seem to hold up to any team's attack at the moment. Like I said, they're conceding a minimum of 2 goals a game, which is absolutely really worrying for them. And if it carries on like this, they are in massive danger of the drop this season.
Yeah, 100%. No team is too big to go down. Doesn't matter how good the players you have. If they're not trying and they're not putting in their all, and this league is very unforgiving, and you can drop down, and it's not so easy when you drop down to get back up. As we've seen so many times with many big clubs who have gone down, thinking that they'll go straight back up. And it
sounds like a job for Big Sam to me.
And yeah, maybe, or Sean Dyche.
Dyche wouldn't be a bad appointment, but the thing is, to get Dyche in to where Leicester were 2 years ago, and now you're talking about managers like Allardyce and Dyche to come and save them. It's actually mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Because they were one of the best teams in the Premier League, at least like top 6, top 7, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
flirting with top 4.
Yeah, and whether Dyche can get that kind of level performance out. Someone in the comments, Nick Knack, says losing Schmeichel has unsettled the defence. I agree with that. I think even though maybe he was getting on a bit, like 36 or so, I still think he was a pretty good goalkeeper. And I think as well, having that leadership and that voice of someone who's been there for many years, must have been 7 or 8 years at the back line there, and replacing him with someone like Danny Ward, that must make a big difference difference in terms of the leadership of the back line, and maybe that's why we're seeing them all at sea at the moment.
Yeah,
and Ward made a series of mistakes already.
Yeah, I mean, he's been terrible, but you could see what an influence Schmeichel had on that team. Not only now since it's gone, but when he was there, you know, he was always commanding that back line. He was pretty much a captain. Was he the captain?
It was Morgan, and then Mr.
Yeah, then they gave it to Schmeichel. So at the end of the day, they've lost 2 captains in the last 2 or 3 years, which is obviously going to have a massive impact. Cody Mack with the super chat here. Remember, for 19 months, Cody, big up. And he says, let's not pretend Leicester didn't have an interest in giving Fofana that deal. That was a big factor in the fee they netted for him. Big up, guys, coming to Spurs. And that's completely right as well.
Fair point.
And let's not get away that Leicester needed the money as well.
Yeah, well, they didn't spend it, did they?
They didn't spend it, but they needed it.
Yeah, it's true. 70 million's a pretty good price. But as well, it's also a bit of a risk because they were giving him a 5-year deal. They didn't know if he was going to come back the same player after that big injury. So that's also, you know, you got to say there was a bit of risk there. But I understand what he's saying. He's probably right at the end, because a young defender of Fofana's ability, you got to make sure that you're getting the value, that as much value as you can, and that's probably the best way to do it, by giving him a big contract. So definitely was value there. From a Tottenham side, selection-wise and things like that, there's a big clamour to get Kulusevski back in the team for this weekend. Would you say that he 100% has to be back in the lineup, or would you be not surprised if he keeps the same front three?
I wouldn't be surprised, just because of what Conte's like, but I really want to see Kulusevski back in the side. Me personally, I want to see a front three of Kane, Kulu and Richarlison now. I think it's time to bring Son out of the team, at least for one game, you know what I mean? But it's worrying why he hasn't taken him out of the team, because Conte is known to be ruthless like this, where if a player isn't playing well, which clearly he isn't, you bring him out of the team, especially when we've got such big players as well that can come in and replace him. So I think the front three should be that three, but I got a feeling he will go again with Son, Kane and either Kulu or Richarlison.
Yeah, it's a lot of people calling for Son to get benched. People have actually, it's interesting, people were comparing Son's numbers this season to last season, and in terms of shots on goal, touches in the penalty area, XG accumulated per 90 and things like that, the numbers are actually very similar. So, but this season he hasn't been clinical. He just hasn't been able to get the same outcomes from it. But the stats suggest that if he keeps playing to the standard he is, it will come back for him. So maybe that's why he's still in the team, because maybe just because he hasn't scored at all, but he hasn't been scoring or getting the attacking numbers so far after 8 games. But maybe the belief within the Spurs team, looking at the data, is if he does keep playing, the stats suggest he will start scoring again.
Look, I think there's definitely a massive case for that. But on the other side, Kulu's done nothing not to deserve to play. Richarlison's done nothing not to deserve to play. Kane's done nothing not to deserve to play. Sonny is not being clinical enough. He's clearly the worst performing out of those 4 players. So I don't know why, just at least for one game to try it, to see how it works. And I have no 2 ways about it that Son will still have a good season this season. But taking him out for one game doesn't mean, oh, Son's finished, we need to take him out. We've got a squad for a reason, you know? So take him out of the team for one game, see if it works, and you can always revert back to it. And with Son on the bench, that still means he can come on with half an hour, 20 minutes to go and still make an impact and change the game. So I don't know what this whole hoo-ha is about taking Son out of the team for one game. It's absolutely mental, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon I've got a feeling he's going to keep him in for one more game.
We keep saying one more game every week,
I know,
though.
But I've got a feeling he will. I don't think he's going to take him out just yet, because I think Leicester, he knows he's definitely got a good chance of getting on the score sheet. But look, we have been saying it, but then again, look, he had a poor game last game. The game before that, he was pretty decent against Fulham, even though he didn't score. He still played pretty well. But then his performances have been really poor. But what do you make out of the theory? People have been suggesting that having Perisic on his side hurts him a bit, because Perisic maybe takes up a lot of the spaces that Son is taking up. And is it any coincidence that his best performance so far this season came when Session was playing? And is there anything, do you think, because you look at the average position of where Perisic is, compared to maybe a Sessegnon or a Emerson. Perisic is literally level or even beyond Son a lot of the times in these average positions. Son goes a lot more central, and then maybe that is getting into too much of his spaces. Is there anything to that, or do you think that's just coincidental? Like,
I personally don't believe there's anything to that, to be honest. I think that if you've got two quality players, they'll find a way to play with each other. And like you say, Son is getting in good positions. Son is getting chances. He just keeps fluffing his lines and not being clinical enough. And you're talking about Sonny last season, right? Last season, he was scoring like the same amount of XG as what you're saying at this point as last season, but he's just not finishing his chances this season. So why would that be to do with Perisic?
I don't know, just people suggesting
Yeah,
it.
but I'm saying I don't believe it whatsoever. I just think it's a complete coincidence, and I think that once Sonny starts scoring, he'll start scoring when Perisic is there, he'll start scoring with Sessegnon. It doesn't matter who's there. Once he gets his confidence levels up, he'll start scoring and start making an impact again.
Sorry, this comment made me laugh. Ben is an eye test merchant.
Eye test merchant.
That just made me laugh. No, look, I think a lot of people like to judge football with their eyes, and a lot of people, some people like to look at the stats. Some people say, but what did Mourinho once say? Stats is for people who don't understand football.
Exactly,
like
Mourinho's my guy.
So Ben's of the Mourinho school of football.
Yeah.
Eye test is all. When it comes to, I agree with you. I think there maybe is a bit of an adjustment. I wouldn't say that Son's struggles are down to Perisic. In the main, I would say there is potentially having such an offensive wing back. We haven't quite had that yet since until now, like a proper wing back who's a winger until Perisic. So there might be a bit of an adjustment to how Perisic plays, only because I feel like Perisic, when he gets in and around the penalty box, whereas I think Reguilon and Sessegnon were actually looking for little passes into the penalty area, Perisic actually is so good at crossing. He always looks for that cross a lot more, and obviously Son is not one for getting on the end of crosses too much. So maybe there is a bit of an element to it, but I don't see Son's struggles in front of goal and things like that being down to Perisic at all. I think it's just an adjustment period.
You can clearly see with Son, he's lacking confidence. Every time something doesn't go off for him, he's really beating himself up on the pitch and stuff about. Like I said, he's getting the chances. He's getting in good positions. He's just not finishing well. And the ball and the control is a bit off as well and stuff like that. I don't think those kind of things have anything to do with the positioning of Perisic, positioning of Sonny, taking up space and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe not necessarily taking up space, but because there's now a more of an emphasis down our left-hand side now with Perisic there, people argue maybe it means because the other clubs, opposition defences are now concentrating more on that side, and it clogs up that area a bit too much. Because now they're thinking, we have to go an extra man on Perisic. It means whenever Son's in those kind of areas on the left-hand side, there's like 3 or 4 men always around him a lot of the time. Whereas last season he was finding a lot more space. And is that to do with the presence of Perisic? I don't know. Or is it just to do with the threat of Son and people getting more wise to it? It's difficult to know, but I definitely think that defences are having to do a bit more work on that side due to Perisic, and whether that's making less space, I don't know.
But at the end of the day, last season, how many times did we see games where Son didn't really have too much of an impact, but will pop up with a goal or two?
Yeah.
We saw that countless amount of times, right? This season, we're seeing him have similar performances in some stages, but not pop up with those goals. But he's still getting those opportunities to pop up with the goals. So, I mean, I don't see it being an issue with Perisic. I really don't believe it whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to like looking at Son's XG and stuff, the big thing about Son is he's such a good finisher. He always outperforms his XG. So it's not always a hit for him about getting those high quality chances, because usually like he just needs half a sight and he can put it in the corner. But right now, it's just not happening for him. And maybe it's just a case of he needs to get that elite level finishing back in his, locker, yeah, which we know he has. Just right now, his finishing, his finishing's poor, but because he doesn't usually get easy chances anyway, he's usually outperforming his XG. So, like now, when he's not getting the chances, when he's not finishing to that level, he looks a bit on the periphery, whereas before he'll like put one in from 25 yards. But even without that, he's still on the periphery as well. But he just gets difficult chances, so it's interesting.
I think the fact of the matter is, if Son would have 2 or 3 goals behind his belt right now, no one would be saying too much about Son, to be honest, because he would be scoring the goals. And I think he'll get back to that. I really have no thought in my mind that he won't get back into that.
It's just annoying that every game we're talking about, isn't it? But look, the fact of the matter is, the longer it goes, he doesn't score, the longer people are going to talk about it. It's just natural because he's so good. It's just that's always going to be the case. Do we drop him or do we not? I guess it was maybe you could get away with it while we're winning. No one's really going to complain. But now we lost the game. Now there is a lot more clamours. All right, we have to drop him now. Now it's a bit more like people, I think, are more getting a bit, I don't know, like angry about it.
And this reaction to the loss is a bit crazy. I mean, like everyone's been like, oh,
Rip
doom
it
and
up.
gloom, rip it up, Conte out, this, that. I mean, just like, guys, calm down. It's like one loss throughout a season so far. I know we haven't been playing well so far this season, but we've been getting through games and getting points. So, look, I think
I saw someone on TikTok said that Conte's lost the dressing room already. They said it's clear that they've stopped playing for Conte. Look at our performances. It's clear that they've stopped playing for him. It's like, what? Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
God, the actual it's actually mental, like how crazy people are going right now after just one loss. And it's one loss in the Champions League group phase, you know what I mean? Like, who doesn't lose in the group phase? Everyone loses at least once at some point, you know what I mean?
It's going to be very rare to go 6 out of 6. You know, the champion, look, they're the Champions League for a reason. I know Sporting are obviously in a Portuguese league, which isn't the best league, but they're still like one of the best team in their league. They're going to be a good team. They're not going to be a bad team, you know what I mean? It's going to be difficult to play against them. And the Champions League is made off of the best teams around Europe. It's not the easiest thing. So it's always going to be a case where there's a chance we lose these game, like we can lose a game or two, and that's what happened. But there's no need to panic, in my opinion. I know performances could be better, but first of all, I don't think there has been as bad as people are suggesting. I think maybe some of them have, but not all of them. I don't think in general we've been that bad this season. I still think we're pretty steady and we're a pretty stable team. It's not like we're leaking chances and all this kind of stuff, and we're all at sea or anything like that. Yeah, we could be a bit more creative and we can be a bit better on the ball, and hopefully that will come. But I don't think it's been a case where we start the season like really poorly and like we're just all over the place and everything's a mess. That's just not been the case. Like the games that we have won, you could argue maybe we've been a bit lucky to win, but it's not a case of like we deserve to lose those games.
Would you start
maybe Chelsea?
Yeah, but would you start to worry if we don't have a commanding and convincing performance this weekend against this Leicester side with what they've been showing so far this season? Let's say we just about get past the game like 1-0 or 2-1, and it's a bit of a similar performance where we're not creating too much but just about get the job done.
I wouldn't be happy about it. I mean, look, it depends on the context of the game. But it depends. If we're lucky to win, then I would be worried about that, yeah. But if we deserve to win, we get the win. I think that's something to be happy about. I think people take it for granted that, like, people see Man City and Liverpool think it's just so easy to go out there and just dominate every game and win. Like, these are super teams who to the level that we've never seen in the league before. And I think it maybe warps people's perceptions of how easy it is to just go out there and win each game. This is the Premier League. A lot of games are going to be battles, and especially when you play Wolves and you play these good teams, just because you think you're better than them doesn't mean it's just going to be plain sailing every game. And I think right now we're going through a period where every game is a battle. Hopefully we get to a stage where it was like last season when we were breezing through teams. But right now it's early in the season, we're still feeling our way through it, and every game is a battle and you have to battle to win. I think we are battling, and I think we are getting through it.
People look at that like last season at White Hart Lane and being like, that's what we should be getting back to, like breezing past teams, knowing like if we go behind we're going to get back into this game, always believing in every single game that we're going to win the game.
But we had games under Pochettino where things were a battle. I remember,
especially away in Europe as well.
Yeah, definitely away in Europe. But I remember one game, even last season at White Hart Lane, we played Middlesbrough, who got relegated that season. They were a terrible team. We were obviously we were unbelievable at home, and yet we really struggled. We barely created a chance. We won through like a late Harry Kane penalty. We won 1-0, and that was like our best team like in the Premier League era against like a Middlesbrough team that got relegated. So and that, you know what I mean. So that those those kind of games happen. I remember early in that season, we scraped past Sunderland 1-0, who also got relegated that season. You know what I mean? So like, it's not as easy. It's not as simple as saying every game, if you're not blowing teams away, we're playing awful and it's terrible and all this kind of stuff. I think people just need to appreciate where we are. Obviously, you're allowed to criticise and want better, but to people say, you know, crisis and panic and all these kind of things, like,
is it the first team ever to be in a crisis where go unbeaten and start the season?
Rubbish. Yeah, like no. Anyone who says it's crisis or anything like that.
And let's be honest, you're talking about Man City and Liverpool. We're doing better than Liverpool at the moment. We're doing better than Chelsea at the moment. We're doing better than Man United at the moment. We're on par with Man City in terms of points, and everyone knows how good Haaland and they're blowing teams away at the moment. So I think that there's definitely big reasons to be positive about our start of the season.
I think the funny thing is, if we were right now before Pep's Man City team and things like that, if this start of the season happened like 6 or 7 years ago, people would be saying how amazing it is and like what amazing managed game management, unbeaten start to the season. Like people were saying it's incredible, but because Pep has kind of done it in a way where every game they just play amazing football and like this super like Harlem Globetrotters kind of style, like every kind of game. I think it warps everyone to think that's like, if you're not doing it that way every game, then you're not good. I think. And I think that's maybe the case at the moment.
And let's be honest, Man City just drew with Aston Villa, right? If we were to draw with Aston Villa last weekend or this weekend, this fan base would absolutely implode.
Yeah, we drew with West Ham and everyone was going crazy, you know what I mean? In terms of, as well, looking at the team, Conte said in his press conference that Emerson is getting a little bit tired at the moment, which he hasn't said previously. That does suggest that he might be coming out of the team this weekend. He didn't seem confident about Doherty. He didn't even mention Spence at all, which we'll maybe get into in a minute. But could the solution this weekend be Sessegnon on the left and Perisic on the right? Because he did mention in the press conference, Sessegnon's one player who's playing really well and deserves to play, and he said Perisic as well can be an option on the left or the right hand side. So is that something maybe we'll see this weekend, do you think?
I actually think it is what we're going to see this weekend, to be honest. And he's also mentioned a bit about Perisic, but just as we signed him as well, saying he can play on the right, can play on the left, either side of the left wing back or even the front line as well. So I actually think that's what we're going to see this weekend: Perisic on the right and Sessegnon on the left. And if it is if that is what he picks, I'm going to be really excited to see how they play, because against the Leicester side, whose defence have been absolutely shocking this season, to put Sessegnon on the left, who I think has been really good so far this season, showed his attacking qualities, and Perisic speaks for itself, the numbers he's produced so far, his first few games in the Premier League. I'm really excited to see, because when you're looking at Emerson, everyone knows Emerson's flaws. He's been all right defensively, apart from that goal we conceded in the last minute against Lisbon. But going forward, he's been absolutely shocking. The move breaks down every time he has it on that right-hand side, and I'll be so excited to see us having two good attacking wing-backs on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what we're like with those two. When it comes to, and I think that should definitely be there's no reason for me why Perisic can't play that role. He's so two-footed. I don't see why.
The thing is, if we do go with this, Emerson might find it hard to get back into the team after, because he might see something really different to what we've seen.
If we're dropping Emerson to second choice, what does that mean for Doherty and Spence?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, but well, Doherty has had clear injury problems. That's why he hasn't played him as of yet. And he did say in his press conference that he will start to be used in the rotation after the international break. And that goes along with Bissouma. And there was another player in there, which I can't remember who it was as well. But those two players as well will definitely Skip, exactly. So those players will definitely be coming in after the international break in terms of rotation. So I don't think it's a term of that maybe Doherty was second or third choice or whatever. I just think he just wasn't fit enough yet for him to be trusted. Yeah,
but in terms of Spence, what must he be feeling right now? Because he's come to the club. I know what Conte said, it's a club signing and whatever. I didn't think I like whatever. I didn't think it was the best thing, but I also thought Spence would probably enjoy the fact that the club believe in him and think that he's going to be. And obviously, you said, look, this is a good player and he's going to be a club signing, and hopefully he'll help us. But obviously, he hasn't. He only played 10 minutes against Forest. When he's talking about his wing back options, he doesn't even mention Spence at all. Is that should he be worried about that? Is it a case of just him being patient, or is it something, or is it a case of Conte being really stubborn and like not even giving him a chance? Should he be getting a chance?
I think he definitely should be getting a chance. When you're seeing Emerson and the attacking qualities that he's producing, when you're seeing Doherty, who's not being fit enough to play just yet, and you're talking about Emerson being really tired. Yes, Perisic can play over the right-hand side, and it's probably the move I want to see happen this weekend. But having said that, I would be very happy to see Spence at right wing back this weekend against this Leicester side. I think he could definitely do a job. And I think Conte is being a bit too stubborn in terms of the Djed Spence situation. I think that he showed last season, albeit in the Championship, what he can produce. He showed it against Premier League sides in the Cups last season, what he can produce. And I actually think if Conte was to put his trust in him a bit more than he has done so far, it will do really wonders for the team, because I think he's got the qualities that we're lacking at the moment.
Yeah,
I really believe
especially with... And I actually think now, with Doherty having these injury struggles, surely now would have been the perfect opportunity. Just bed him in a bit, you know, give him 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, with Emerson getting tired and things like that. But he just hasn't done it at all. And I just wonder why he has done. Is he really that far behind that you can't even like try and bed him in a bit in the earlier game? And now with Doherty being out, it would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. So I am a bit... It's just a bit of a weird one why Conte seems like completely intent not to give him anything. It's
frustrating.
Even left him out of the squad part of the first few games, and he put Doherty on the bench, who he says is struggling with injury. So. Why do that? Is he sending a message? Is Spence just being that bad in training that he can't even give him? He doesn't even think he deserves to be on the bench or anything like that. It's a bit concerning. That I just hope it's one of those things where, like, in 4 months' time, we're not even talking about it anymore. But
I hope so. I hope so, because I was so excited when we signed him. You know, watching his highlights reels, saw him play in those games against Leicester and against Arsenal, and even there was a game against Liverpool, I think, a couple of years back as well. He played, and I've always been impressed every time I've seen him play. So I'd love to see him to get some action. But I personally believe Conte's being a bit too stubborn. I don't know. Do you think the same?
Yeah, I feel like he is. I feel like he is being. Look, I'm not saying he has to put Spence in the starting lineup or anything if he doesn't think he deserves it or whatever, but I do think in this early part of the season, while Doherty was out, it would have been a really good opportunity to just give him some minutes and let him feel his way into it. Right now, I feel like he's got zero trust. He's not even giving him any minutes whatsoever apart from the Forest game. That must be something, a bit of a frustration for Spence, who's probably desperate to prove himself, and he's not even getting a chance to do it. Like, I understand if he comes on, he's playing and he's just being awful, and then I can say, okay, look, he's not doing it. No point even trying. And maybe that's what Conte thinks is going to happen, because if he's not giving him minutes. But I feel a bit sorry for him, and I think he probably thought when he came, you know, I've got a great chance of winning that spot at the right wing back, and he maybe still does, but if he's not even getting the opportunity to do it, and Conte's saying he's happy with Emerson, and Emerson is playing really well, and you know he nearly scored against Sporting, and he's doing well. Like, it was like Spencer was like, well, I could do so much better than that. He must be thinking, and I've probably shown I could do better than that.
It's frustrating because you see the clear flaws in our team, which is the same as last season. You know, right wing back, centre back. And we've got a player literally there, which we signed in the summer, and we're just not utilising him at all in the position that we're desperately in need of. So I think we got to give him a go. We just have to give him a go at some point soon. And
there's one other thing that he mentioned, which I thought was quite interesting, about Bissouma.
Yeah.
He's mentioned again, this must be about the second or third time he's mentioned that he's not tactically ready right now for the team.
On the defensive side,
which is about to get onto that point, which is really strange when you think of Bissouma. What do you think his main strengths are? His ability to get around the pitch, his tops the tackles and interceptions metrics every single season. He was one of the best defensive midfielders last season for Brighton. If anything, you would have thought what he could have done more is on the ball and more charging forward and doing more things to help the team in attack. But he says that defensively is what he's lacking, and he needs to be more concentrated and be more aware defensively than he was. And to be fair, that goal when he did start, that goal against West Ham was definitely a big part. He was a big part to blame for it, because he just let his man run off him on his behind him, and he didn't track him. But it's just odd to think that the thing that's stopping Bissouma coming into the team is his defensive work. When you thought that would get him into the team, which is a very strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm lost with that one, to be honest. I mean, the only thing I can think of from Conte's eyes is that he was playing in a different system for Brighton, and he's not up to scratch on the actual system that Conte wants to play. Because you know how much of attention to detail Conte looks in every single facet of his tactical system, and maybe he just has only played in the Brighton system under Graham Potter for so long now, and he's just not tactically ready to come into that Conte system. But like, how are you going to be tactically ready and if you don't get chances as well? I mean, like, is it just on the training ground is he going to work on? Because you need to be working on the pitch in games as well, surely.
Yeah, it's a peculiar one. It's a peculiar one. Obviously he needs time on the pitch. He hasn't been afforded it. I know Skip's been injured and only just recently come back, and he's just trusted Højbjerg and Bentancur because maybe he just thought, look, we need the points, and they're doing the job at the moment. I really believe once Bissouma's fully acclimatised to his team, he could really take our midfield up a notch. That's what I'm hoping for. I really believe he's got quality to do that, but at the moment, he's just not up to speed yet. And hopefully that can happen sooner rather than later, because the guy's got quality. And Conte said, like, he's got amazing quality and I'm delighted with this signing, but he's just not tactically ready yet. But you would have thought he would have been one of the first ones up to speed, because I know Brian played with a 5 in the middle usually, 3 in the middle, midfield, but he has played with a 3 at the back system before under Potter. So you would have thought, and I think sometimes they played 3-4-3. So you'd have thought like he would have had some experience.
Potter 3-4-3 is probably very different to a Conte 3-4-3 in terms of what he's calling each player to do, and also Bissouma's pre-season as well was short, wasn't it? Because he was one that had COVID.
Yeah, he missed. He went to Korea, but he didn't get a game, I don't think, did he? And then he played Rangers.
And that was it.
And did he play Roma?
I don't think he might have come on, but he didn't play too much.
So maybe that also stunted it. But I also think maybe we haven't seen, like, people are complaining, but we haven't seen the full extent of what this team could do. Maybe once we have Longley in there, once we have Bissouma in there, maybe this team can really take it up a notch. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
And how do you think actually Leicester approach this game? Because if they sit back against us, I mean, that... teams can really stifle us if they sit back against us. But can Leicester, do they have the players to do that? Do they have maybe not the experience, but, the right head to do that with the space that the club is in at the moment? And if they come at us, it's just going to be the same story as what they have been seeing over the last few weeks with Leicester, where they just concede so many goals. I mean, so how do you expect them to approach this?
I don't know. It's a double-edged sword for them, I think. I'm not really sure what the right approach is. I think their best approach is to try and sit back and try and get us on the counter with Vardy. But with us having 3 centre-backs, I think that's going to be extremely difficult for them to achieve. So I can only really see struggle. I think if they come at us, if they're not absolutely perfect on the ball, we're just going to play around them, I think, and we'll find it easy to get chances. So I do think that their best course of action is to try and clog up the defensive areas, make it difficult for us, make us come out a bit, and then with the quality of Maddison and Tielemans, try and hit us over the top. We'll maybe even play 2 up top with Daka and Vardy and try and do that. That's maybe I'll do maybe a 3-5-2, clog up the midfield and try and hit us over the top with 2 pacey strikers. But that would be the best way, but I don't think they'll do that. I think I can just see a lot of struggle for Leicester. But then again, look, with a team like Leicester, they've been implementing a different system and a different plan, and they can come out and surprise everyone. I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen it in the Premier League so many times. Teams on a losing run, and then they do a big tactical tweak, and they can start changing their fortunes around. So you can never get too comfortable with the team's form just because they're on a bad run of form. Doesn't mean they're going to be bad for your game, but at the moment,
especially when Dr. Tottenham's around.
Yeah, and especially they've lost 5 in a row. They definitely don't want to make it 6, do they? So it will probably, from that point of view, maybe not an easy game, but it's one of those where if we can take control of it, then I think if they do fall behind Leicester, they might start to lose confidence very quickly. And I think that will gain their heads.
I got a feeling the way the game's going, I actually think Leicester will come out the block strong this weekend. But I think that if we do get the first goal, that's when their heads are going to drop, and then they'll lose a bit of confidence in themselves, and then that's when we can really, as Conte likes to say, smell the blood and really kill off the opponent. But I do think they'll probably come out the blocks quite well this weekend, but it's all about that first goal, and I think once we do get one, even if they take the lead and we get one, their confidence is going to drop massively.
I think so as well.
All right, so what's the score prediction?
I said 3-0.
3-0.
I said 3-0, clean sheet. I think that I reckon I wouldn't even be surprised if like all 3 goals come in the second half or something like that. It might be a bit of a tense game for them, like at the start. But and we're also traditionally slow starters. But once we gain control, and if we can get a goal early, then I think we will be able to expose them. That's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully, we don't give them any encouragement because they don't need it at the moment. But I'm going to go with, that's just my prediction. I'm going to say that we're going to take control of the game, and I think we're just in a better place right now. So I'm going to go 3-0.
All right, I'm going to go. I actually said 3-1 in my prediction, but I actually think it could be a bit more this weekend. I think that if we play to the levels that we know we can, and if judging on what Leicester have been like so far this season and the back end of last season, I think that we can really put a big score this weekend. So I'm just going to add a goal there. I'm going to put it to 4-1 Spurs. But like I said, I think once we get one goal, I really think the floodgates can open tomorrow. But let's go and have a look at Betmate now, the brilliant fantasy gaming app where there's £1,000 guaranteed this weekend. I think the buy-in is, £6 this weekend. So if you want £5 free, if you're a new user, use our code WATTV5 for a free £5. The link is in the description below if you want to join the game, if you want to download the app. Let's start off with my team. Got a brand new picture there with my coffee.
Look at that.
I've got Hugo Lloris in goal. In defence, I've got Emerson and Sessegnon, but I might change that Emerson to Perisic because you can change it up to 5 minutes before kickoff. So whoever the wing backs are for Spurs, I'll put them in the defence. In the midfield, I've got Maddison and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. It's important to note in this game that you get points for every tackle and every interception. So it's a bit different to the standard FPL where defensive actions don't get points. But in this game, they do get points. So it's actually really important to think about that. And then up front, I've gone for Harry Kane as captain and Richarlison as vice-captain. But if Richarlison doesn't play, then I'm probably going to put in either Sonny or Kulusevski. So that's my team.
All right, and my team here.
Ah, you're sipping the coffee.
Look at that. I've got Lloris to go because I think we're getting a clean sheet. Perisic and Sessegnon for my backlines. I reckon Perisic is going to play on the right. That's what I'm banking on. Midfield, I've got defensive duo in Ndidi and Højbjerg. I think Ndidi can make lots of tackles, interceptions, although. Well, I don't think they'll stop us from scoring, but I do see him doing a lot of defensive actions.
Indeed has been playing centre back the last few weeks.
Might even be more tackles and interceptions then potentially. Then up front, Tjed and Son. I'm backing them both to play, and they both have fantastic records against Leicester. So if they both start, I back them to both be amongst getting goal involvements. So I've got them both, and I've got Kane captain and Højbjerg vice captain, who's playing well recently. So that is the team I've gone for.
All right, so come and take us on this weekend. £6 to enter. £1,000 is the minimum pot for this weekend. So very much looking forward to taking you all on this weekend. But that is our Betmate. That is our match preview. Let's get on to a few super chats. Then we'll start bringing on some guests to talk to about the game this weekend. Catman Jess, member for 14 months, says, can't wait for FIFA Ultimate Team 23 streams. Ben Simeone returns.
Big up.
I've lost a few of the others. What one have you got there?
From Adiram Arab, who says, "Hi, I'm from the States. I'll be in London this weekend. I'm looking for 3 tickets to Tottenham versus Leicester. Please help me."
Unfortunately, we're not the ticket office, so we can't help you there.
You could maybe go on the ticket exchange on the Spurs website. There'll probably be tickets there at the moment. You could probably get them the day before a game. But unfortunately, I don't know that for you. You have to look at that yourself. Rich Frith says, what's up guys, back to winning ways tomorrow, going to have 2 screens for UGA football and Spurs. I don't know what UGA football United, I don't know what UGA football is. But hopefully your main concentration is Tottenham. That's what I'm hoping for.
And Josh Bonner here says, thinks Son needs to make the supportive runs more to help build up on the wing. Perisic a bit isolated out there. He's always waiting around the box to score. Play well and confidence will come. He's frustrated.
Maybe that's true. I don't know if does Perisic seem isolated. I think he's doing a good job. On the left side. I don't know. I don't think he's struggling. I think we want him isolated. Maybe not completely isolated from the rest of the team, but you want him like 1v1 with the defender because you know more often than not he's going to beat his man and get a really good cross in the box. Maybe he needs to do more getting in the box and being on the end of crosses and things like that because at the moment he just doesn't seem to be in those dangerous situations.
That's the thing actually, which is a bit disappointing so far with Perisic because we know that with crosses from the other side that he's always arriving late in the box at the back post, getting those headers, getting those volleys. But when you got Emerson on that side who can't seem to put in a cross,
that's
then
the problem, isn't it?
What can you do?
That's the thing. We're always having Perisic getting it on the money to Emerson, but Emerson can't finish, and Emerson can't cross it back to Perisic. And he can't make the most of his finishing ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe with Sessegnon there and him attacking the right, it might be a bit different.
All right, you got one there?
Yeah, from Sui. Says Conte needs to try someone else at right wing back, whether Roberto Carlos' run of 6 goals and assists was a fluke or not. Emerson has shown no sign of anything close to that. I feel for Spence. Conte treatment is shocking. And he does another super chat saying Conte is so stubborn. He needs to realise he can't have everyone he had at Inter. He has had good options on the bench and he needs to use it. He also needs to stop rewarding bad performances with starts. Yeah. What happens when you have a whole team as a bad game, and then you're going to drop the whole team? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're talking when you're talking about the right wing back situation when you've got Spence there. And look, I don't think Emerson's been terrible this season. He hasn't.
I think he's been good for what he is.
He is good for what he is, but the fact of the matter is, in a Conte wing back system, it's so important to have that attacking prowess about you, and he just doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And when you've got Djed Spence there available, which we know he does have that, then why not give it a go, at least for one game to see?
Yeah, just to see how he does. And also, like, in the Conte system, it's more important for the wing-backs to be good offensively than defensively. That's the reality. Obviously, you still need to be good defensively. You don't want to be a liability, but you do have cover there. You've got a defensive midfielder coming over. You've got a right centre-back there on your side. So if you're not great defensively, you can kind of cover over it. Whereas if you're not good going forward, that's just there for all to see, isn't it? Because you get so much of the ball. You get so many opportunities to attack. But
maybe the defensive situation in our team is more needed in the past couple of weeks because we had Davinson Sanchez there, who needs backup all the time, and you've got Romero there since he's come back, and he doesn't seem fully at it. Christian Romero, there's something there at the moment with Romero.
I don't think Sanchez needs cover. I think he's a good defender. I think
people are always backing him up all the time. I mean, Emerson's always there. Dyer's always there to help him.
That's just our team, I think.
I mean, with Romero there's a bit less cover from the rest of the team. When Sanchez is there, it seems that always people are trying to help him out a bit more.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I don't see it. Maybe that's right. I just think Emerson. I'm not angry at him because what he's showing is probably the best he's got. So I'm not angry at him for playing to the best of his ability. But it's just frustrating that it's the same thing every time with him, isn't it? And I honestly, people go crazy about him and say how he's the worst player and he's terrible. He wouldn't get in this team and that team and blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't think he's a bad player.
I agree.
And I don't think he's showing badly for Tottenham, but he's just not showing what we need. And that's what's the most frustrating. What he gives us isn't what we need from that position, and that is ultimately what is costing us a bit there. If he was just a fullback and he only had to attack occasionally instead of all the time,
he'd be fine.
He'd be okay.
We've got another super chat here saying, I want Barella for Spurs. Get it done, Levy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I want Barella as well, to be honest.
So I want Lautaro Martinez as well. I would take him. Get Hakimi in. Let's get all the players in.
Yeah, but I think that's it from the super chats. Do we have we've got no guests. So if you do want to come on and have your say, the link is in the community section. If we don't get any guests, we will be ending it fairly soon, and the predicted lineup will be coming your way as well.
And Conte's embargoed press conference.
10:30 tonight, Conte's embargoed section. And also, we've restocked on all T-shirts. If you want any of the Son T-shirts, the Italian Job T-shirts, or the standard We Are Tottenham TV T-shirts as well, link is in the description below. www.wearetottenhamtv.shop if you want to purchase any T-shirts. And we're going to have some new exciting designs coming your way as well very soon. So go grab your T-shirts because they absolutely flew off the shelves last time we restocked. So get yours while you can. And we got another super chat here from Jaquandre Jones saying, shout out from Detroit. Come on, you Spurs. Love you lot, with a heart.
Big up to you, mate.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. THFC says, can Sim explain why we didn't need a centre-back and a right wing-back?
No, because we did. I don't understand. When did I say we didn't? Did I say we didn't need one?
Well, this THFC guy, he's going on at you a bit. He says, we said we need creativity and Sim said we don't.
I said we did. When did I say we don't need creativity?
He says Sim is a propaganda machine for Levy.
The Levy prop.
Levy out said we need a right wing back. You said no.
When did I say no? Why is he just saying these things?
Then he says, mouthpiece of Levy, I swear to God.
Mouthpiece of Levy. Well, show me evidence of when I said any of that. I don't remember saying any of that. And what is he on about? Why? Because
says the whole summer you backed the transfer policy.
I said I was happy with what the business we did do, but I was also unhappy with what we didn't do. Yeah. But it was a question of what you're more happy with. Are you happier? Are you more happy than you are upset, basically? And at the time, I was more happy than I was upset. And that's the reality. It doesn't mean I agree with everything they've done. I also was still a bit angry about it because there was no real reason not to spend more money if we could have, if we could have got more targets. But then, were the targets available? That's what I don't know. But
the fact of the matter is I think what you rated it 6.5. Did you?
I think I said 7. You said 6.5.
Right. And then I moved it to a 6 or something. But the fact of the matter is that I rated it 6, you rated it 7, but we were expecting more of 8s and 9s from this window.
It should have been by how we started the window. It was just how we started the window as well. So that, like, you would have thought we had so much more time to do business that we could have done.
You know what I really hate though? Like, all these people, a lot of people coming out at the moment being like, oh, it's Daniel Levy and Enix's fault why we haven't started this season well, why we're playing so poorly. I mean, it's not really, because we've added to the squad that we had last season. We had a good base last season where we were actually playing good football at the back end of last season. So after one loss and a few bad performances, how can everyone just start going back on that train again when we've actually got Antonio Conte there? We've got a good team where we showed it last season where we actually can play football from the back, building up play. Yes, it hasn't happened for one reason or another this season, but I don't know what it's down to, but it's not down to our transfer window business why we haven't kicked on this season.
No, definitely not. You can't say it's not down to the window, I don't think. Things could be better, but we got players to be giving better performances right now, which we showed last season. We showed a level of performance last season. We haven't even hit that yet. And I think we have a levels to go up, hopefully, because we've got new signings. So to blame on our transfer policy is a bit weird, because people, like, I hate it when I see people say, like, why do we persist with this thing or that thing? It clearly doesn't work. Why do we keep doing it? Why, like, for example, why do we keep playing Bentancur and Højbjerg together? It clearly doesn't work. Why do we keep playing Emerson? It clearly doesn't work. It's like we're unbeaten. We've lost one game since March. We won 10 of our last 14 games last season. We're unbeaten. We've won 4 of our first 6 games this season, winning 4, drawing 2. We haven't lost.
No team has picked up more points than us since March.
Yeah, people keep saying it clearly doesn't work. It's like, by what metric does it not work? I mean, I understand.
The eye test.
I understand people think we could be playing better, and I agree with that. But it doesn't. But by saying it doesn't work, that just doesn't make any sense to me, because it does work. It's shown to work, and it's shown to work more often than not. And I think people just it's like whenever we lose, everyone just remembers all our previous losses and all the bad performances and forgets anything good that ever happened in the past 6 months.
After the after the Lisbon game, people are being like, "Oh, did you not see that performance against Brighton in the 1-0 loss?"
Yeah, exactly. But then again, when we win, people also just remember only the good games, and I guess that's also true. And I guess that's just what you get with social media.
I kind of feel being a Spurs fan on social. Being a Spurs fan was so much better before social media was around.
100%.
So much better.
I feel like you're not allowed. Like, then people are angry if you're just like happy or content with like the club direction and stuff like that. Or like it's like if it's like people like saying if you're not 100% like going at it angry all the time, it's like you're kind of saying that you're happy with ENIC and the ownership just because you're not getting angry every second, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be the case, but like I've said it before, I didn't start watching football to talk about owners and boardrooms and ENIC this and stuff like that. Yeah. And when it came to the head, when it did, and we started protesting and whatever, and that was absolutely right. But it's not my whole enjoyment around football. I actually like watching the game and like talking about tactics and things like that, and just like enjoying the game of football. It doesn't always have to be about money and transfers and all these things. Sometimes I just get bored and annoyed, and I don't want to talk. Like it's some like when that's over, I like to talk about the football, what's going on the pitch, and people just always constantly bring everything always up. All these in arguments all the time, and it gets a bit frustrating. At
the end of the day, everyone can see the board's failings. Everyone can see where the board has failed in the last 20 years. Me personally, I'm not a fan of ENIC or Levy really whatsoever. And look, and I've made that clear over the past couple of years. But the fact of the matter is that the start of this season, why we're playing so poorly, I don't think is down to that. I really don't. And I think that we showed last season a base performance where we can play good football, we can play out from the back, and we can beat teams consistently. We've lost one game since March, which is amazing form. We haven't started the season well, but we're still getting points. So I don't see the need to everyone to start kicking off on our transfer window. Yes, I agree. It wasn't the best transfer window, 6 out of 10, which was not good enough for what we needed to be. But as Conte says, we still need to be patient, and it's a building process. And I believe by the time next summer comes, we'll be in a better state to be where we want to be.
I guess let's chat about this then. The rumours coming out about Conte, about him waiting for the Juventus job. Apparently he doesn't want to sign a contract. Look, obviously this is from, I don't know who it was from, some journalist
in Italy. Yeah.
I don't know how reliable he is, but he claims that Conte doesn't want to sign a contract because he's waiting for the Juventus job to pop around at the end of the season, and then he's going to go back. He's desperate to go back to Juventus. He's going to go to Juventus, and he'll leave Tottenham at the first opportunity. Do you see that as a possibility? Do you think that's a chance? Whether he does well or not at Tottenham, is there a possibility he just doesn't want to be here long term and wants to go back to a club where he knows maybe every season's going to be a title challenge and stuff like that, and he'll maybe I don't know.
If he thinks that that this football club isn't going as much as his way as he wants to go, we've heard that he still thinks the Tottenham hierarchy think that we're still thinking like a small club in terms of not a big club that this stadium and this fan base deserve, then I can see it happening. I don't see why it wouldn't happen.
Even if we win something, like an FA Cup or something.
Look, I think that Conte will think he's probably got more chance of winning big honours back at Juve than he does maybe at Spurs, and I don't think an FA Cup probably changes things. I think he wants to be winning the big things. He wants to be going for the Premier League title. He wants to be going for the Champions League. He wants to be going for big things, and if he doesn't think he can fulfil that at Spurs, I don't think he will stick around. I don't think winning an FA Cup this season probably changes that.
Well, but what if he gets top 4, wins an FA Cup and decides to leave? Right. What would the situation be like? Would there be protests? Would fans be upset, or would it be a case of being not happy with Conte for deciding to leave? Like, why is he not trying to build.
Well, the reason why he
done.
would leave is because he doesn't think the club are probably giving him enough to fulfill those big honours. So ultimately, it will always come back to the board if Conte leaves. Because if we gave Conte exactly what he wanted, not have a situation to say where Conte being like, oh, we still needed more, we're still going through these 6 out of 10 windows. If Conte's feeling like that and feeling like this club is still showing like a small club mentality, then it's always going to go back to the board, in my opinion.
And then what would that mean if for a potential Pochettino homecoming in a year's time?
Look, as much as I love Pochettino, getting Pochettino is a step backwards. That's just the facts of the matter. As much as everyone, I would like to see it happen, we don't know if it's going to go the same way as it did last time he was here. Getting Pochettino after Conte is a step backwards. That's just the clear facts of the matter. Yeah, maybe it is making the best out of a bad situation, but it's a step backwards and it's not good enough.
But there's no one else who's not a step backwards from Conte. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
So if Conte ever did leave, it is pretty much only down from there, most likely.
Yeah, and if Conte is ever going to leave, or if he is going to leave in the near future, that is going to be solely down to the board. Solely. There'll be no other reason why he would leave other
If
than
he just wanted to go back to Italy.
No, I think if he is getting...
He loves Italy, he always goes back
I
there.
understand that, but I think if he's getting what he needs from this club, and this club is going in... I think it is going in the right direction, but if it's not going in the right direction fast enough for his likings, then I wouldn't really blame him, to be honest.
Would it be too early for a Pochettino homecoming, do you think, in a year's time? Or do you think that's about right? Was it
Look,
3 years?
if Conte ends up walking at the end of this season, then I'm just going to lose all faith with everything, to be honest. And if Pochettino comes, great. If he doesn't come, then I don't know where I'll put myself.
What about Tuchel?
Tuchel? Nah.
Spurs fan, apparently, when he was younger.
How many past Chelsea managers are we going to get? Bilal Boaz, Antonio Conte,
They sack good managers.
Tuchel.
They sack a lot of good managers.
Like, man,
Ancelotti they sacked.
If Conte leaves,
Tuchel wouldn't be a good appointment.
if Conte leaves because the club aren't giving him enough, then I'm going to be spearheading those protests again. I really am.
Who would you choose, Tuchel or Pochettino?
Tuchel or Poch? I don't know, man.
It's a difficult choice.
I don't know, because the facts of the matter is that Tuchel plays a similar style to Conte. So what Conte's building in, maybe Tuchel can kind of like pick that up. Poch is a completely other end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
we'll probably need to rip it down and build it back up again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In terms of logistically, probably Tuchel, but in terms of my heart, Pochettino.
Yeah, maybe it's just. I still want Poch to go win more stuff before he comes back. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if he's going to be winning stuff when he comes back.
Once the French league, once the French Cup.
True. You only want it for French league. But anyway, it's all hypothetical. Hopefully Conte stays, and this is all moot point. But there were rumours, so I thought it was.
What's your opinion on the situation?
What do I think? My opinion on whether I'll take Pochettino back.
Whether you take Pochettino, who would you put the blame to if Conte does go back to Juventus at the end of the season?
I think Conte is a man who likes to do things his way and what he wants. I wouldn't be surprised if we do win something, and even if we are moving in the right direction, if he feels like he's the type of guy he'll be like, you know what, I want to go back to Italy because I love Italy. I want to go back there, and that's where I feel more at home. And even if he does do well at Tottenham, I wouldn't even be surprised if that just comes to situation anyway. That can just happen. So I would like to see all, the context of the time. I would obviously be pretty pissed if he was to leave. After 18 months, but I wouldn't necessarily believe that it's just purely down to the board, because I know Conte's character and what he's like. I just wouldn't be surprised if he was even if he was a success if he just left. I wouldn't be.
But when has he ever done that? Being like just left the club just in the lurch like that because nothing's gone wrong. Something has always gone wrong with the board for him to leave the club.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, he can do a good job. I'm saying it doesn't have to go badly for him to leave. He can be doing well and doing a good job, and things can be on the up, and he can still leave. I know, like
Things
obviously
can be
it could
on the up, but he wants to be challenging for titles. Can he be challenging for titles here? That's
I know,
the
but
main question.
he won the league at Inter, and I know he left because he had board trouble, but like he left, like they challenged for the title the next season. Like he left a club who could have been challenging for the title. I know they didn't end up winning it, but they did challenge.
The frustrations came because they were selling off his best players.
Understand that. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be going badly as a team for him to leave. It's not like that kind of situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're not even in a terrible situation and he decides to leave anyway. So I mean, I have to see the context of what was to happen. But like, if the Juventus job does open up and he just feels like he would love to go back there one more time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just not even a case of.
The Juventus job was open when he came here, wasn't it?
No, Allegri was in charge.
When did Allegri join?
At the beginning of last season.
Beginning of last season.
No, even before that, because Pirlo was in charge. And they
I thought Allegri came in just recently, didn't he?
No, he's been in charge. Pretty sure he's been in charge.
Because he left and then he came back.
Yeah, but then Sarri was in charge for a year, then Pirlo was in charge for a year, and then after Pirlo, I think he came in. They went back to Allegri. Yeah, I think this is his second season or third season maybe.
Really?
Second season, I think.
I thought it was less than that, but anyway.
No, yeah. The job wasn't open when he came, but it might be opening up soon. I mean, I wouldn't be like. It'd be difficult for me not to get excited by a potential Poch return in a year's time if it ever did come to pass. But you just know it is a step down. So I wouldn't like it. I don't want to see Pochettino come back in those kind of circumstances.
Last year. Yeah.
So beginning of last season.
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe it was in the middle of the season, wasn't it?
I don't know. I think it was at the beginning.
Okay. Anyway, go on, carry on.
Yeah. So when it comes to Poch. I would like to see him come in different circumstances than this, because when he comes back, you want it to be like an exciting thing. You don't want it to be like a downer, and that's what I'd be worried about. If he came back, it would be just a bit of a downer, and it wouldn't have the same effect. Like if we were to come back after when we got Nuno, that would have been a bit different.
They actually appointed Allegri 2 days after Conte left his job.
Oh, there you go. So I see. So they could have got Conte then.
They could have, yeah.
But clearly it must have been in the works with Allegri already. But yeah, if we would have got Pochettino back when we got Nuno, that would have been a different thing, because everyone would have been on a high, everyone could rally around it. Next season, I think I'll probably just go for Tuchel, just because you want maybe a fresh idea coming through from someone who hasn't managed it yet.
End up at Juve anyway, you know.
Who, Tuchel?
Because I think Allegri's going to go pretty soon.
Yeah, things are not going well with Juve.
If these results keep happening with Juve and they keep not playing well, I've got a feeling Allegri's going to go very soon. The fans are really unhappy with him. The fans are wanting him to go like now already. So I got a feeling that Tuchel's going to be there before the end of the season anyway.
Yeah, I think at the moment, that's what it seems. He said he's not feeling the pressure, Allegri said, but he should be, because I watched their last two games actually against we watched the
Benfica game, didn't we?
Benfica game, and then there was Salterino. How do you say their name?
Salatero.
Salatero.
I know who you mean. Anyway,
that team with Piatek up front, and they were so lucky.
Great goal from Piatek, by the way.
Yeah, they could have won it in the end. They were unlucky with obviously that offside, but they were 2-0 down, and they were lucky to get back in that game. And they just look like they can't play football at the moment. They got Vlahovic up front, they got all these good players, but
Milik.
They can't do it at the moment. Just remember, guys, if you want to call in, the link is in the community section for all our members. So if you want to come on, have your say about anything we've discussed today or anything you want to bring up, do call in and we can have a chat with you. But yeah, we don't have too many callers at the moment, but get your calls in.
Yeah, another super chat here from Mr. Taki saying, what do you see as our starting 11 in the back half? I'm guessing he's saying second half of the season. I mean, it's very hard to say, but what I'd like to see probably is Lloris and go obviously a back three of Romero, Dyer, Longley, right wing back. I'd love to see Spence there, but I mean, I don't know. Spence, Perisic will probably be my preferred choice if Conte gives them a go. Midfield is a difficult one because I really want to see maybe a skip Bissouma middle pairing, but I think Højbjerg's playing too well to take him out at the moment. So probably Højbjerg Bissouma, I would love to see, to be honest. And then I would love to see Son, Kane, and Kulu or Charlison.
Yeah. I mean, hard to disagree with that. Hopefully we have some new signings in January. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
But nothing in the pipeline at the moment. So have to wait and see. But yeah, I'd pretty much go with that lineup. I think. I don't see why not.
New member Ashmatic Fitness. Welcome to Gold.
Nice.
Tottenham away. I think it's Stel in the comments saying the transfer policy is a big issue.
Yeah, and
no one's saying it's not an issue. No one's saying it's not an issue. But what I was saying is that it hasn't impacted our start of the season. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not like if we would have got a perfect window, all of a sudden that's those 4 wins and 2 draws turn into 6 wins automatically. It's not as simple as that. Look at Man City. They haven't won every game. You know what I mean? They struggled in some games, and they obviously then they drew at Villa, they drew at Newcastle. It hasn't been easy for them. Like, even with like the perfect team, doesn't mean you win every game. Like that Barca team that won the treble, like it's not like they drop points. You know, the teams drop points. You can't win every single game, and I think you just got to be. You've got to appreciate the position that we're in and how we're done to get results. I know we lost to Sporting, but like we're still in a good position.
And then Stel points out, without social media, you don't have a channel, Ben. None of us do.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's a great point. So we shouldn't bash it too much.
Yeah, but still, like when I was talking about social media, I meant specifically Twitter. That's what I meant.
That's true.
But anyway, Carl Patrick Vineyard is a gold member. Welcome to Gold KPV. Jory says in a super chat, name me one thing that wasn't better before social media. That's also a very good point.
One thing that wasn't better before social media.
Social media.
Pictures maybe? Memes. Maybe memes. There you go. They didn't exist.
KPV with the super chat member for 10 months. Member for 10 months? He just joined membership. What do you mean member for 10 months? He says, oh, what a goal. It's Danny Rose on his Premier League debut with a memorable strike. Can you believe it? Come on, you Spurs.
Can't believe it. Cannot believe it.
Obviously, that was the commentary when Danny Rose scored against Arsenal. Not sure what the relevance is to that one, KPV, but
out of context, KPV, I love it.
Out of context, KPV. I think someone should open up a Twitter account, out of context, KPV, and all the great things that he says. We need to get
just every day post a link to Who Let the Dogs Out.
Exactly.
Every day.
All right, I'm just going to listen to Who Let the Dogs Out now. Carl Bruce with the super chat saying, we have a bigger squad now, let's use it. Our guys have looked sloppy for a while, which is indicative of players mentally and physically fatigued. Let's bring in some of the bench for energy's sake.
Yeah, we could do some new energy, I think. Like we saw one against Fulham, made some changes and just brought a new energy to the team. But we had a week off before Lisbon. You know what I mean? We didn't play for a whole week. So I don't think that can be used as an excuse, really.
Yeah, very true. But I think, there's a few more here.
Faz Radfar.
Yeah, saying Conte is waiting for Jan before the renewing decision. But I've also seen that we've got an option to extend it another year until 2024 anyway.
It's unclear whether it's in Conte's, if that's Conte's control or the club's control. Some people say it's the club, some people say it's Conte. So it's interesting. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
And Jory with another super chat, big up the Joracle, says unambitious owners can only survive with a loser mentality in the fan base. The weak mental we see on the pitch is ultimately rooted in a weak fan base. Tolerate mediocrity and you get mediocrity. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think it's true. But I guess what do you find as mediocre? Like it's difficult. If you're a mid-table team, you can say it's mediocre. But if you're challenging near the top end consistently, like, is that mediocre? I guess it depends on your definition is. I agree that
it's mediocre for what Conte wants to do.
Yeah, of course. But then but he's not one who's accepting mediocrity, is he? So what's that to do with the fan base? You know, that's a manager. So I believe in him. If he demands the best and he's still here, then that's something to be happy about. But no, I understand what he's saying. If things don't get better and we just allow it to happen, then the fans can't be happy. They can't complain if we drop into mid-table and they're not haven't had their say on things improving. But at the moment, we're challenging near the top. So, what am I accepting mediocrity by saying things aren't that bad? You know what I mean? Like we're unbeaten. Like what do you want from me?
Not only are we unbeaten, but we've got the most points since March and had one loss since March, and we're in crisis apparently. Sam Kang with the super chat saying #bring Aurier back. We're going to be seeing him in the Premier League very soon. Just signed for Nottingham Forest. I think it was confirmed yesterday or a couple of days ago. And Jory with another super chat saying the team is good, Conte is great, the club is mediocre.
Yes and no. I think the club's not mediocre because you look at I think the stadium, training, all that, top of the range, that's not mediocre. What's mediocre is the footballing ambition. The footballing ambition, that is what's mediocre. I do agree with that. I think when the owners and stuff like that, they have a vision for the club, but it has nothing to do with making us successful in terms of winning trophies. Their vision is to make as much money as possible, and to do that they do have to be in Champions League. So I do think part of their ambition is to have a team that's capable of being in Champions League consistently. But not part of their ambition is to have us win trophies consistently or challenging for big trophies. They just want us in and challenging pretty much for top 4. That's the limit to their ambition. And that look, we can say we want out of 92 teams in the footballing pyramid, I would say probably 84 of them will probably kill to be in that position. So to turn around and say that position isn't good enough would to some fans seem like you're just spitting your dummy out a bit. But when you have been consistently challenging for Champions League and being in Champions League for 10 years or so, 15 years, then
when you have the infrastructure this club has as well, when you're talking about the best stadium in the world, you're talking about best training facilities, you're talking about one of the best managers in the world, and you're talking about some of the best players in the world in terms of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Hugo Lloris, all these players that we've got, we need to be doing a lot better.
If you can do more, then you should expect more.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl Bruce with the super chat saying, would really like to see Doherty come back in with Decky. They had a great chemistry just to try it, need a change. And I completely agree with that. I mean, I think that Decky and Doherty were looking all right together. And I think Doherty will come back in after the international break in some sort of capacity.
Yeah, I feel like when Richarlison's there, like instead of Decky, you have that boundless energy and stuff like that, and obviously Richarlison's great, and you have that kind of pressing energy, but you just lose that cutting edge. I feel sometimes in the final third. Like, I think Decky just gets us in so many situations on the counter and stuff like that, where he just picks the right decision every time, and whereas with Richarlison there, and even with Son sometimes, they pick the wrong decision, or even when they pick the right decision, the weight of pass and the execution just isn't there as much as when it is with Decky. And I think that's why we just look a lot more incisive and creative when Decky's on the pitch. And I think that is lost a bit when Richarlison's taking his place, and I definitely see that.
Yeah. What's the super chat you got there? Have we already read that one?
Yeah, it's the one you read out.
Okay. All right, let's start going to the panel, to the guests now. Oh, and I believe we've got a birthday. We've got a birthday here.
Oh.
Let's bring the birthday boy on.
Hello,
Happy birthday, KPV. I'm surely that's good news.
Happy birthday
to you.
Hold on a sec, boys. Boys, just a sec. My birthday's on Wednesday, so I thought I'd put it early on there.
Oh, come on, man. It's not your birthday today.
Day, Carl. You're going to be calling it on Wednesday. Don't you worry about that.
And I'll
take birthday boy out his title. It's not even his birthday.
Calm yourself down, you chicken.
You absolutely just got roasted there, my God. You
chicken.
Absolute chicken.
Chicken on a ball. That's what I am.
Clucking away.
You lazy sod.
Lazy?
Yeah, lazy. This is bad news
Well-
for you, Ben. Bad news.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see. Lazy.
Kyle, what's going on? What's going to happen this weekend?
Well, obviously, we're going to smash Leicester like we always do. Harry Clark, you know the rest, loves a goal against them. He's got 17 against them. And Son loves a goal, but it's got to be Harry Clark, you know the rest, to score, because we're going to smash them. And if we win, we go top, right?
Yeah, we do before Arsenal play on Sunday.
Yeah, Arsenal play Sunday. Yeah. But
Oh,
Man
Yeah,
City,
Brentford.
Man City
Man
are
City are
playing.
playing tomorrow, actually, so maybe
Wait,
not.
Man City play at Wolves, and
Yeah, so
Haaland
we
is
don't
the player of the month for August, so congrats. But fourth, Arteta won manager of the month for August. Damn it, should be Conte.
No, it's
Conte
a good
got
thing,
fourth-
Kyle. It's a good thing.
What? Fourth
No,
Arteta?
you should be happy. Yeah,
You should be happy that he won Manager of the Month because the Manager of the Month curse is happening this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I can
You
see.
remember
But
last time he won Manager of the Month, Carl?
who? Arteta?
Yeah.
What?
You don't remember?
Yeah, September that was.
No, last time he won it, they lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace the next day at the back end of
Yeah,
last
it was a
season.
few hours ago last time he won it, mate.
Yeah, well, who cares about those lot down Seven Sisters Road? This
You
is
brought it up,
Tottenham
Carl.
fan. Yeah, I can see that, mate. But yeah,
Carl wants to stop talking about it. He can stop talking about it, all right?
shut up,
It's
Tim.
KTV.
Shut up, Tim.
What's
Shut
it to
your
you?
mouth. Shut your mouth, jabroni.
Kyle has chosen violence today.
Sim's just trying to get on your good book so you don't have to box him out in the boxing ring.
Exactly. I'm worried.
He knows I'm going to smash him. Like, but
I don't want to be called
yeah,
out.
forget that. Like, forget that. Forget. Oh, what? Turn it off. Turn that off. Turn that off.
Turn what off?
What are you talking about, Carl?
I can hear myself.
Can you?
Oh, can you? Sorry about that.
But anyway, talk to me. How do you think the game's going to go tomorrow?
Gonna go brilliant. I think we're gonna win, and as I said, but it's gonna go great. But I just want at least one change to be made.
What changes that?
Now, like, I'm sorry, but Ronaldo to be on the bench and with Charleston to play where Son is and Kulu to play wide. Yeah.
And what would you do with the wing backs? A lot of people calling for Emerson potentially to come out the team. Emerson, who would you put at right wing back? Who would you put at left wing back? People are saying maybe even move Perisic over to the right and Sessegnon on the left.
I'd say keep Perisic on the left and put Cess on the right, because I know he's a left wing, but I put Cess on the right for a change.
Cess on the right, all right. And finally, what's your score prediction?
Oh my God. Got to be a bigger score on our W odds. 6-0.
6-0, all right.
W odds, mate. Kulu scores again. I'm still unbeaten. I haven't lost a game in that Kulu sexy shirt yet. I haven't lost. I'm still unbeaten. So, yeah, I don't care what anyone says if we lost, but I'm still unbeaten in the two shirts I've got. So, I'll be watching, and we're going to smash them. Kulu to score. Kane, obviously. Kane loves the goal. So, Kane, 4, Kulu 2.
All right. Big up KPV. Thanks for coming on today, mate, and we'll see you next time.
I'm off to listen to Who Let the Hounds Out.
Who let the hounds
Who
out?
let the hounds out?
David did.
Big up KPV. We'll speak to you soon.
Big up. Who let the dog?
Nice one,
All right, we
Kyle.
got some more super chats. First one from Sui saying Levy's vision was for a new stadium, was for the club to be sustainable. We have seen the benefits of it. The pandemic didn't help, but now let's see if we will push on to win, especially with Conte.
No, and you're probably right about that. But some football fans don't live for the balance sheet. You know what I mean? And the balance sheet might look good, but we're not winning any trophies and we're not competing for the big things. So that will annoy people, especially when it's going on for 20 years. So understandably, not enough for a lot of fans.
Carl Bruce with the super chat saying, Sim, you're spot on. Rishi is a brute force. Decky is a finessed scalpel.
Yeah. That's pretty much how I see it between the two. And I think different games demand different things. So I think it's different weapons you can choose. But sometimes we have good attacking opportunities in those games where we had Richarlison, Son and Kane, but we just didn't make the most of them because we making the wrong decision, different way to pass and things like that. And that's what Kulu brings with you, and it's why we will look so much better with him there, I think.
And Lee Richards with the super chat saying, if the game ends on 90 minutes on Tuesday, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion. P.S. We could be top of the league by 7:30 tomorrow evening. Have some perspective, folks. And I completely agree with that.
I do agree with that. I think anyone says we've been terrible or things are going really bad this season, I just wouldn't agree with that. But obviously, we want things to improve, we want things to get better, and that's natural, of course. And it's not like I'm delighted with all our performances, and I'm not saying we're playing brilliantly, but it's been by no means a disaster or anything that people are saying, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep going with the guests. We've got someone in the back end that looks like he's recently been to the club shop. Don't know what's going on over there, but let's bring him on. Stelios, how's it going, my man?
Yeah. I got given a voucher from Spurs, so I had to spend it on Spurs. So I thought, you know what, I actually like this top, so I bought it.
I thought you were going to say you got it from Turkey or one of these places that does the really good fakes, but you're saying you actually got it from the club shop. Wow, that blows my mind, Stelios. That blows my mind.
Yeah, Brian Daigle's not talking to me, so
he's blocked you. That's it. It's all done now. It was nice knowing him.
But talk to us, Stel.
Stel, you're lagging quite a bit, Stel. Do you mind just quickly reconnecting? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll jump out and come back. No worries.
Yeah, quickly. Just try and get him back on.
We'll wait until he's reconnected, Stelios. But on Brian Daigle, actually, I hope he's watching. I haven't seen him in the comments. I don't think he is watching, but there's a bit of some news from Daigle and why we lost this game on Tuesday night.
Yeah. That's a big reason, by the way. It's pretty much, and you can talk tactics and you talk about all these things. There's only one real reason we lost the game.
You can talk the transfer window. You can talk Daniel Levy. You can talk Conte and his stubbornness. You can talk anything you want. But none of those are reasons why we lost on Tuesday night.
No, not the real reason.
The reason why we lost on Tuesday night is because Brian wasn't wearing his grey We Are Tottenham TV shirt throughout the game. And that is unforgivable. Unforgivable,
really.
I think so.
How he did, the stain has to remain. The stain
remained. It just didn't remain on him.
No, it has to get on his shirt. I don't want him to take another shower until there's a Spurs loss. So I think Brian has got a lot to answer for.
Yeah,
I think I heard Conte heard about it as well.
Yeah,
he was absolutely fuming.
He mentioned it in his press conference. Did you not hear?
That's the main reason.
Yeah.
So Brian, get your act together, mate. Get the shirt back out.
And if you're listening to this, you've got to come and get your point across. Tell us why you didn't wear the shirt this weekend. But anyway, let's get Stelios back on and see if his.
Yeah, I think maybe we're just gonna do, huh? I think the audio is still fine. So let's maybe just do it by audio. Should we do it like that?
Just bring him on and we'll see how it goes.
Maybe it's all right.
Stel.
Is that better?
It's a little bit better. You're still like moving a bit slowly, but anyway, well let's just get straight into it. What's your thoughts coming into the game this weekend?
Yeah, I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna beat Leicester City, and I think that if we do win, and maybe Arsenal drop points, maybe City do, maybe they don't, we're either going to be joint second or top of the league going into the international break. So what more do fans want? Like, what more do you want? Like, this manager, has got off to one of the best starts we've had in the Premier League. He's not got the squad he wants yet. He hasn't got the quality he needed. Yet, in the league, we are doing really, really well. Listen, guys, I'm not going to lie. I was so fuming on Tuesday night when we lost. Not because we lost, but because of the reaction from fans. The turning on Conte and saying things that they don't know about. Like, talking about things they don't understand, in my opinion. I think, why doesn't he change the tactics? Why is the formation like this? Why doesn't he take off Emerson? Why is it Bissouma on? Why doesn't he do this? He's making mistakes. Hold on a minute. Everything was fine until we lost. None of you were questioning anything until he lost. And it's like one loss and Conte's CV no longer means anything. 3 league titles with Juventus, 1 league title with Inter Milan, 1 league title with Chelsea. And he took over Chelsea when they were 10th. He took over Juventus when they got relegated. A domestic trophy in Italy, a domestic cup in England. Oh, forget that. He's making mistakes now. This guy, he's stubborn. So it really infuriates me that fans think they know better than a man whose CV is one of the best in European football. And, we did this to Redknapp. We did this to Poch. We did it to Mourinho. We did it to Nuno. One loss, and we begin to do it to Conte. Guys, it really, I weren't happy with at all what happened, honestly.
No, I get your opinion, Stel, and I part of me agrees with Elle as well. But as someone who, who looks at the tactical side of things and looks at the performance, you're a person who looks beyond the result in terms of how well a team is playing, and a lot of fans now are saying that. We're not playing well. We're getting away with it. We're just getting over the line. And maybe Tuesday night was a sign of things performances catching up with us, and the results now maybe starting to turn. When you look at our performances, do you see a team struggling and a team who are getting away with it and not deserving to get points, or do you see a team that are getting the results that they deserve?
I think you're looking at a team that plays really crap football on the eye, that really bothers fans, including me. I sold my ticket. I didn't go to Spurs v Fulham because I didn't want to watch the match. And obviously that was the best game we played all season, sod's law. But I get the frustration and I get the anger towards the style of play. I'm 100% in agreement with that. But what fans need to understand, look at the way we played in the last 3 months under Poch. Look at the way we played under Mourinho. Look at the football under Nuno. It's going to happen again and again and again until we either, one, be patient and give it 3 years, because people talk about Potter at Brighton. Look what he did. Potter was at Brighton for 3 years to implement his system. And until he got it right the way he wanted to play, they were finishing 16th and 14th in the league. People say Arsenal, look at the football they play. Arteta's been there 3 years. They finished 8th, and it cost him £400 million to build what he's got now. Conte's been here 10 months, and he's got us Champions League football. The football will come. The good football will come once he spends the money he needs to spend and he's given time. I get the frustration, but guys, either we keep going around and around and around the same hire a manager, don't quite back him, sack him. Hire a manager, don't quite back him, sack him. Or we say, right, we need to keep a manager now for 3-4 years, and we need to back him, and we need to be patient. This is, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but we kind of need to trust our process. And that's the reality of it. If Conte walks, they haven't backed him, and then everyone should turn on Levy and Enoch. If Conte stays, give him time. Give the man time. Give it the 3-4 transfer windows. But yeah, I agree. The football is crap, and it's something we're going to have to bear. I said on my channel, and I said on a few other channels, guys, 2 weeks ago, I said, I think the destination is going to be really good when we get there, but the journey is going to be really crap. You know that saying by Bruce Lee, you've got to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. I don't think we're going to enjoy the journey.
But Stel, what What has happened though? Because at the back end of last season, we were actually playing good football. We were winning a lot of games. We are still winning a lot of games, but the football seems to have taken a backward step, as in terms of maybe instead of taking a forward step this season. What would you put that down to?
I put it down to a couple of things. The transfer window wasn't good enough. We desperately needed exciting, one-on-one dominating, pacey, excellent crosser of the ball to go right wing back. We haven't done that. We simply haven't brought in that player. We needed some kind of creativity in the middle of the park. There was talk of Maddison. We were linked to Zaniolo. We were clearly looking at options. We didn't bring that player in. And then at the back, we desperately need a ball-playing centre-back to complement Romero. We haven't done that. People say Longley's the player, but let's be real. It's deja vu. Mourinho wanted Skriniar. We brought in Rodon. Conte wanted a Bastoni. We brought in Longley. So we haven't brought in the players required to then push on, footballing-wise, as a spectacle. Secondly, you know, I think if you like look at the games we won last season, we were only doing well once we went to one game a week. When we were playing 2 games a week, we were terrible in the European Conference League. We got smashed in the Carabao Cup by Chelsea. We got dicked on in the FA Cup by, was it Middlesbrough?
Middlesbrough, yeah.
Right. When we went to one game a week, that's when we started rolling. And during that journey to get to top 4, who did we beat? Burnley, just about. They got relegated. We smashed Norwich 5-0. They got relegated. We beat Aston Villa away 4-1. They finished bottom half of the table. We beat a average Arsenal team that didn't have a striker and went down to 10 men. So did we really play that well?
Well, still, we did, but we did play better. We also beat a Manchester City side and played really well. We went to Anfield and probably should have taken all 3 points and played really well. We beat Newcastle as well. You know, we beat some good sides in there as well.
We listen, you're right. We did beat some good sides. I think, look, Man City, no matter who the manager is, we just seem to be their bogey team. Like Nuno beat Man City, right? At Anfield, we parked the bus. Go look at the possession stats. We literally shut up shop, made it difficult for them, and got 1 goal on a counter-attack. We didn't go to Anfield and play really, really attractive football, but strategically, we played well. We played excellently in a pragmatic, defensive, counter-attack style.
Mm-hmm. But that's what you need to do to get a point at Anfield.
Oh, listen, I agree. I'm just trying to explain why the football isn't great on the eye. It will come, but Conte needs players to play attractive football as well, which we don't quite have yet. We can't play the ball out of the back the way we want to every single week because Dyer, Davies, Emerson, even Doherty, Cesc, can they play it out from the back quickly? Are they good at quickly moving the ball accurately, right weight of pass, excellent quick decision making? Are they? I don't think they are. Then you look at the midfield. Is Højbjerg always going to have a good first touch when he receives it from the defence? Can he spin on the half turn and release the player out wide? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So I don't think we've got the technical players yet to play really, really nice football. Sometimes we will. Sometimes it will just click like it did against Fulham. But most of the time, it's going to be kind of what we're seeing now, but a bit better. So the decision Spurs fans need to make is, do you want to get on Conte's back as soon as we lose? Or do you want to be a bit patient, trust this man, and go and watch his Inter Milan team and see how they played? Go and have a look at some of the Juventus seasons under Conte. The football was not bad at all. It's just... Look, I'll tell you one positive, guys. I'll tell you one positive.
It hasn't always been bad here either. Yeah, but go on.
I'll tell you one positive we should take. We're joint second in the league on points, and we haven't started playing good yet. Mm-hmm. Imagine if we start playing good.
That's what I keep saying still. I completely agree with that. And I think it's coming. I do think it's coming.
And I think when it comes to momentum and getting good performances, it's not something you just flick on with a switch, is it? It's always about a process, finding solutions to problems that you get. It's always that's how except if you're like a Man City, where obviously your squad is just an absolute joke and you can bring in another 11 world class players. With most teams, like 99.9% of teams in world football, football, the whole season is like a process where you find solutions, and then things go up and you're playing really well. Then new problems start to arise, and you got to try and find solutions for that. Right now, I think we're just in that stage, aren't we?
Spot on, and we've got the right man for the job. This guy will find a solution. When it wasn't going well, when we were struggling, he got us top 4. He found a solution. I do think, though, guys, one thing we've all got to just accept is that his track record in the Champions League is not good. I don't think that's just going to change overnight. And we do not have the squad. And I'm not talking about numbers, because I hear some people say, oh, but Conte, you wanted depth and you've got it and you're not using it. He hasn't got the quality in depth. So because of that, I don't see us competing on all 4 fronts. I think, actually, it might be a blessing in disguise if we did end up dropping out of Europe and maybe a cup and just focusing on the league come January onwards. I hope that doesn't happen, obviously, because I want us to be in every competition, but I think that will suit us better come the new year. But a lot of it is also going to depend on what happens in January. If we go and get another 2-3 players, but they've got to be good, though. We can't be doing this Longley, Spence. We're not sure about they've got to be players that come in and they start immediately, like Perisic. He starts straight away. Richarlison, he's broken into the team.
For Kulusevski and Bentancur mold, those kind of players, yeah.
Yeah.
Stel, when it comes to Conte, one of his biggest weaknesses, maybe people argue, is that sometimes he can just be a bit too stubborn when it comes to some decisions makings and maybe some players. Now, Emerson's played every single game. He's pretty much he's struggled offensively in pretty much every single game, because that's just the player he is. Now, Doherty's obviously had injuries, but we have Spence there. Why have we not seen... We've seen one cameo from him against Forest. Surely now with Doherty out injured, now would have been a good time to at least bed him in, give him a few minutes here and there. Is this a case of Conte just being stubborn, do you think? Or is there more to it? Do you think Spence just maybe isn't at the level yet?
Why would you change it when you're joint second in the league?
Not change it.
We forget
at least give him some more minutes. At least bed him in a bit so he's ready to play a bit more.
All right. So when do we do that? Let's think. When would be the best time to do that? He's never played in the Premier League. He might not be up to the levels Conte wants. Conte has definitely made it a case that it's not his signing. It's a club investment. The club wanted him. He's the only player that we signed since Conte's been here where he specifically had to come out. He felt he had to come out and say that. So clearly there is something not quite right with this signing. Having said that, when do we give him a chance? Well, you're not going to do it in the Champions League. That's too big of a stage. So you then look at the Premier League. Chelsea away? No. West Ham, London Derby? Away? No. Maybe against Fulham at 2-0 up, we could have done it. Maybe. But it's hard.
What about this weekend, Stel?
If we go 2-0 up against Leicester and we are completely in control, yes, absolutely. Listen, I don't like Emerson.
Conte's talking about how tired Emerson is, so isn't it a great opportunity this weekend?
As long as he's ready, but only Conte knows if he's ready, right? He also came out and said Bissouma tactically isn't quite ready. Yeah. So as much as we love Bissouma and we know he's a good player, if he doesn't fit the system and he's ready now, who are we going to trust? Our opinions? Fans that want to say change the system, change the players? Or do we have to be patient and just put a bit of faith in Conte? If we're having this same chat, guys, in 2-3 months, I think then you can say, hold on a minute. But this is the first kind of wobble we've had.
Yeah.
Let's see where we are in 5, 6, 7 games and then come back to it. But look, I don't like Emerson. I've never liked him. I've never rated him. I get grief because I slam him so hard. I think he's an awful footballer. I don't understand how he's wearing a Spurs kit. But when I look at the options, it's Spence, who I don't think the manager wanted, and Doherty, who's coming back from a major injury, and maybe he will end up taking Emerson's spot in the next 2-3 games because fitness-wise and injury is, he's up to scratch.
Okay. All right, Stel. And before we let you go, Stel, what's your score prediction for the weekend?
Did I go with? I think I went with 4-0. I
4-0.
think we're going to
4-0.
come out. Yeah, I think we're going to come out and absolutely batter them. Honestly, I think you're going to see a really good response.
But is that
And
more
then-
to do with Leicester than us?
It's going to be a bit of both. I think you're going to see Spurs. Listen, don't forget, guys, in Sporting Lisbon, the first 15 minutes of the first half and the second half, we had them pressed back. Our pressing was really good. We were creating a few half chances. It's the last kind of 25 minutes of each half which was disappointing. But if we come out like that against Leicester, I think we're going to put them to bed. I really, really think we're going to beat them. And guys, anyhow, we are top of the league. Going into the international break, I want every Spurs fan to get off Conte's back. Every Spurs fan.
Every Spurs
Let's
fan
just-
should get off Conte's back anyway. I mean, we're never going to get such a good manager again. So
100%.
Yeah. I didn't buy this top for nothing, right? I bought it for a reason.
Exactly.
are you going to get Levy out on the back?
Do you know what? I fear being punched in the stadium by someone. I mean,
I'm sure we'll be fine.
maybe Enoch out. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
bit better. Get Enoch out. But listen, at the end of the day, guys, I think this season, the way we've got to look at it is this is our transition season with Conte. We've got to back him. Even when we lose, let's back him. Yes, fans are allowed to have their opinions, and yes, fans are allowed to question it. But let's not forget this man's CV. Let's not forget what he's achieved in football. And let's not forget, this team is average, and it needs a rebuild. And we're at the beginning of it. I don't think Levy and Enoch have backed him. I really don't. That's opinions. I think we should have done much better than what we've done. I'm not happy with Levy or Enoch. But whilst Conte's here, and whilst we're in that top 4, top 2 where we are now, just let's be patient with it and see what happens in January, and let's see where we are at the end of the season. And if Conte's still here and we get more backing, and maybe Paratici and Conte can begin to change the way this club thinks and change the mentality and structure of how they approach the football team, just then let's have the chat about what's really happening. But right now, we don't really know. And I just think fans are really pissed off because the football's shit. And I get that. But patience, man. And I've been positive. Patience.
Stel, I wasn't expecting a call like this from you today, and I absolutely love it. So big up to you,
Yeah, man.
Stel. And
Nice one, Stel.
I guess we'll see you tomorrow, right? You going to the game?
Yeah, I'll be there. We'll meet up. We'll have a drink. We'll have a chat.
Sweet.
Looking
All
forward
right,
to
looking
it.
forward to it, mate. See you tomorrow.
Nice one, Stel.
And everyone go and subscribe to Tottenham Away as well. We've got a super chat here from Carl Bruce saying, Sim, Ben, what do I need to call in on the live show? Well, the link is in the community section for all members right now. So if you want to call in, just click that link. Let's bring on Ashmatic. I just need to pop off for 1 sec.
Ashmatic. All right, let's go on. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, bro, I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Is this the first time you called in?
Yeah, first time calling in, man. I've been
Welcome.
watching your show for a good 2-3 years, and I finally
Welcome
just
to the
summoned up
show,
the
bro.
courage to call.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. We got Leicester on the weekend. A struggling Leicester side, lost 5 of their last 6 games, but they are a team that do have dangerous players, Maddison, Tielemans, Vardy. Are you very confident going into the weekend, or do you have some reservations?
To be fair, Leicester are not playing too well. I think Brendan Rodgers, he gets this wrong and he's out of the job. I personally think Spurs will have a point to prove after Tuesday, and Antonio Conte obviously got into them in the dressing room, probably ripped them to shreds, and now I think the lads have got to put on a performance for not just for Conte but for the fans as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. We definitely need a reaction to the poor performance that we had on Tuesday. But I want to get your opinion on the start to the season we've had, because look, on paper, 4 wins, 2 draws, one win out in the Champions League as well. Joint second in the league, unbeaten, 100% record at home as well. Things look rosy, but then you go to the fan base and people are saying that performances aren't very good. Football's been terrible. We're getting away with it. It looks better than it actually is. What's your take on how we've started the season?
You can look at it two ways. You can either be a stat man. If you're a stat man, then we're doing well. But if we've been watching the games, then it's completely different. And everyone's arguing about the formation because, let's face it, in the middle of the park, when teams come to us, they've been studying Spurs, and I feel like we've been figured out. We've been figured out, and what people are doing, they're doing the high press. When we get pressed very highly, we find it very hard to break the press. The double pivot struggles. When we have two and we're facing three, or teams push on us, we find it hard to come up to play out from the back. So when fans are saying to change your formation, Spurs are playing sloppy, the passing, like the ball will come to Eric Dyer from the back. Eric Dyer, within the first 5 minutes, wants to go long. Not always go long. Don't always go long. Sometimes play it short, play it into Højbjerg. Højbjerg sometimes, he's had a great season, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I feel like with Højbjerg, the mobility of Højbjerg sometimes can let him down. And so we have a great squad. We have someone called, we've got Skip. Skip's a young lad, and he can get about the pitch. With Bentancur, obviously we have, sometimes he doesn't play too well, and we've got a lad called Bissouma in the ranks. Now, Antonio Conte said, there's no starting 11, everyone's droppable. Anyone can drop at any time. That's what came out of his mouth. And obviously, as fans, we haven't seen that very much. We've seen Longley come in, and we've seen Richarlison come in. And before, if you asked anyone about our transfer window business, we would have said, "Oh, great business," but we wouldn't have known that we're only going to start Richarlison and Perisic out of that 7 or 8 signings we made. Because if you think about it, Udoji's gone back to Udinese. We've got the keeper, Forrester. He's not starting, of course. So that's 2 signings gone. Then you've got Bissouma. Bissouma's hardly featured. That's 3 signings. You've got who else? You've got
Longley, Richarlison, Spence.
Yeah, Spence again. So out of the 7 signings we've got, about 2, I'd say maybe 2 of them only start. So we haven't really changed our starting 11. And out of the 2 signings that have been starting, it's been Perisic. Perisic doesn't even complete a full 90 minutes. So that's the reason why there's so much frustration, where you've got an underperforming Emerson, and we knew the right wing back was the key area. Like midfield obviously was an area. We needed a backup striker. Yes, that was a key area, and a centre back. But we hadn't conceded that much last season. Actually, in last season we were one of the top 4 clubs for not conceding goals. So centre back, as much as we wanted the centre back, we more wanted the ball playing centre back, just to help with the style of play and to help us in position and help us to transition. Now with the right wing back, that was a glaring problem because we lacked creativity, because we played the 2 in the middle, and that was just a clear and obvious thing that was happening to Spurs. We were getting overrun in midfield, and we like the style of football. We pay tickets, we go to the stadium, we want to enjoy the football. So I think that's where the fans got upset. Like the football wasn't free flowing, but we were winning. And then when the winning stopped and the football was poor, then it became a problem. And that's what we have at the moment. So we can talk about stats until we're blue in the face. We could talk about, Son's XG. Look at Son's XG. That's brilliant. Like, what is XG? Do you know what I mean? You want to see...
Are you more of an eye test man, Ashmatic?
I am an eye test man. I like the proofs in the pudding. The proofs that at the end of the day, you pay to watch football to be entertained. You don't pay to look at the numbers and think, oh yeah, that was great. Do you know what I mean?
Some do, Ashmatic. Some do.
Some do. I don't mind. If we go in the season and we play poorly, but we end up with a trophy, fair enough. I don't mind. And we end up in top 4, I'll be like, okay, fair enough. That will shut me up. But if we don't get into top 4, which is quite possible, and we don't win a trophy, does Kane want to stay? Does Kane sign a contract? Does Conte want to stay? These are real questions we have to ask ourselves as a fan base. So it's these glaring problems that we're facing right now. Leicester, if we don't win against Leicester, I wouldn't be too mad. I think we will win against Leicester. But if we don't win against Leicester, I feel like Antonio Conte is he's very safe. He's a safe manager. He's very cautious. I don't think he's going to make too much changes on the weekend. I think Emerson, he may start. Son may start. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think he would take 3 or 4 losses before Conte changes things. Because if you look at Chelsea, his Chelsea team, it took him about 3 or 4 losses before he had to go to the 4-4. Was it he was at 4-4-2 and then he changed it. And then they went on a winning streak
Then
after that.
They went 3-4-3, yeah.
So, then they went 3-4-3, exactly. So I feel like with Conte, even though last season he did try the 3-5-2, it would be interesting if at some point, I'm not saying to start with the 3-5-2, it's just that 60 minutes into a game or 70 minutes, you can see things aren't working. And I think fans are frustrated that he hasn't at least tweaked the formation. All right, Emerson's not attacking. He's not putting away his chances. All right, because with the wing backs, I would prefer if one of the wing backs would join the midfield to help out in the pivot, to make a 3. But that's not happening. So if Emerson's not working out, or Perisic, if Perisic isn't getting down the wing enough, like, don't get me wrong, in the last game he played on Tuesday, while playing Sporting, he did put a good cross in. But I don't know. In my imagination, I thought that Perisic was going to be taking on players like, a real winger, not even a wing back, a real winger, just being a havoc, being a mess on that side. But even himself, he didn't really have a great game. Apart from that cross he got into Kane, he wasn't that standout game. Like, I've seen him at Dortmund, I've seen him at Munich, come inside and shoot. I haven't seen that as much this season. And when you haven't got Emerson providing on the right, it becomes a problem. And then the midfield on top of it, it just becomes a catalyst of problems. And then when Kane's not showing up, Son's not showing up, it's just too many. And then the manager's not changing it. It's just too many. Do you understand? I am back in Conte. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to it's early. It's just it's not that. Obviously, we've only had one loss. And on paper we're doing well. I just feel like we just need just a tweak. We just need to utilize that squad. We've got October coming up, and we have 10 games now. They're talking about moving the Arsenal game to the 5th, which would mean we have a game on the 4th from Frankfurt. We play Arsenal on the 5th, and then on the 8th, we go to Brighton. So that is a congestion of fixtures. And we run a risk if we don't rotate enough or we don't change things, then we're going to have, we may be looking at injuries, and that could impact in the long term for our actual season. But yeah, I think we're having a good season. Is the answer to your question, and I think we'll beat Leicester.
All right.
Yeah.
Big up, man. Did you give a score prediction?
Score prediction, yeah. So I haven't. I think Spurs will want to keep a clean sheet. I'm going for a 3-1.
3-1. Who's going to get the goals?
3-1.
Who's going to get the goals?
I'm going to go 3-1. It depends who starts. If Kulu starts, Kulu's going to be involved, so Kulu will score. I think maybe one of the defenders might pop up with a goal. I think it might be one of those type of games. And possibly Kane or Son.
All right.
Possibly
Big
Kane
up.
or Son will get on one sheet.
Big up. Thanks for coming on
Nice one.
today,
Cheers for
mate.
calling
Really
in,
good
mate.
call. Hope
Call in again.
hope to speak to you again soon, my friend.
Yeah, I'll try, man. Don't worry, man. Nice one, boys,
Looking
man.
forward
It's
to
long
it.
overdue,
Nice one.
man.
100%.
bro.
Thanks for coming
Cheers
on.
for calling in.
Big up, big up. We've got a super chat here from Israel Uncovered, Mr. Amir. He says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, lads. Shana Tova. Let's go out and absolutely smash
Is it
Leicester.
Rosh Hashanah?
Absolutely.
When's Rosh Hashanah?
It's in a few weeks.
Oh, so what's he saying?
Seeing as we are flying out on Yom Kippur to Frankfurt in a month's time, so that's got to be in a week or two, yeah.
Now, isn't that Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah, the build up to New
I
Year,
see,
you know.
okay. Right, fair enough. I was getting scared. I was like, is it today? I was like, okay. Cole Bruce says, forgive me, can you guys elaborate? How do I call in? How do I become a member? You either scroll down and hit the join button underneath the video, or you go on our homepage and go to the community section.
There's also a link in the description below, I think.
There's a link in the description to join to become a member, so you can join that. You can click there as well, and you can become a gold member today and have a chance to call in.
All right, but let's bring on our next guest, and it's the man you've all been waiting for, and it's Grandpa Brian.
Is he there? There he is.
Grandpa, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
I don't know what you're doing at home, Grandpa. I was expecting you to be on the streets queuing up to see the Queen.
No, I was there the day before yesterday. Went up with the other million people to watch the carrying of the Queen. I've become even more of a monarchist now.
Okay.
I really, really think that there's a good chance that it bring the world together.
You think so?
And I'm very
lovely.
excited. But I'm not joining the 6.5 mile queue that there is at the moment to go round to walk round the coffin. Certainly not.
So not that
anyway.
much of a monarchist then.
Well, I've been up twice.
Fair enough.
Did you get a haircut to see the Queen?
Nobody wants to go with me. I've had a haircut too. Yeah.
Lovely. Looking fresh.
Anyway,
How are you feeling,
had
Grandpa?
another full.
What? Sorry.
I'm feeling great. I think that I think you're all being very, very negative about what's going on with Conte and Spurs. I think that match that you had an extended stay for, that wasn't such a bad match. Watching it closely on TV, I thought that we didn't do too bad. We had one or two unfortunate misses that we could easily have gone ahead. One or two crosses, one particularly I remember from Perisic, another one from my favourite man at the moment, but not so favourite for this match, Emerson. But he again got in a couple of crosses which other people wouldn't have got. I agree that it was difficult for him to shoot from that angle. It would have been better to be in a pass than a shot, but nevertheless, I don't think he had a bad first half. He had a very bad second half. But nevertheless, the whole team, when I was watching your ratings, and I think you were very negative on a lot of the players when you shouldn't have been. I think we've still got a good team. We've got a good strategy. Conte is a great manager, and the results so far show that. And there's no reason why we won't go on and play even more attractive football. He's being very clever. He's not playing his new players yet, and I think he's got to start doing that, particularly what's his name? The guy that's very fast.
Richarlison?
Right wing.
Oh, right.
No, the one he hasn't played yet.
Oh, Spence.
Spence. Yeah, I think he's got to give him at least a run. He had a run for about 5 minutes on one of the games, and he really looked good. And I think he's got to play him. And I think when he does make changes, I think he's got to make them a bit earlier. I think he's got to make them at half time or a few minutes after half time to get them to be able to play in. And that would be part of his rotation. I think that he'll play people for half the time in each half. That might be the way he'll do it, rather than change a large number of players. But I thought we played quite well. I don't think we were terrible. I mean, we were terrible letting in that second goal. The first goal, was just very clever, and in a way, I think Lloris should have had that covered. And I think if it wasn't for that, I would have given Lloris the man of the match. But otherwise, I give it definitely to Perisic. I think he was outstanding. Perisic. I think he was absolutely outstanding. And I agree with your ratings. Nobody else was really outstanding, but nobody also was really very, very bad. And I think that the team itself played quite well. And I'm fully excited. And I think we'll beat Leicester. My prediction is 2-0. I think we won't anymore lose a goal.
Oh, it's a clean sheet. And people are saying people are saying that it's no wonder that you like Emerson Royal, seeing as you're a big monarchist. Is there any truth to that?
No, that's an absolute coincidence. And I call him Emerson. I've dropped the Royal.
He's not royal anymore. There you go. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Why do you think people are being a bit negative? Do you think maybe they're just not excited by the football at the moment, or do you think they should be looking at the results more than necessarily how we're playing so much?
I think it's a habit that we've got into. We've had so many ups and downs over the last few years. We get into a habit when something goes slightly wrong, then we have to blame somebody, or a lot of people, or the manager, or the club. And I think it's a habit. And I think you guys have got to help get us out of that habit and get people to be positive and make the team see that we're positive. I think every time, I said this last time, every time there's negative comments, as there has been with Son, they see it, they hear it, they feel it in the ground. That doesn't actually spur them on. Maybe people believe it does spur them on, but it doesn't. What spurs them on is success, and to be cheered when they do something well, and not to keep constantly shouting at them that they're shit.
Fair enough.
There you go. I think that's wise words.
It's wise words from
Very
Grandpa.
wise
I
words.
think that's absolutely wise words from Grandpa. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think there's always a bit of common sense prevails when you come on as well. So
Exactly. I'm a lot more positive now.
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
a lot of the comments agree as well.
Well, that's good. That's good. Okay, guys.
All right. Grandpa, always a pleasure. We'll see you
Nice
tomorrow.
one, Grandpa. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for the game.
Well, one of you will, I suppose.
Yeah,
Both of us. Both of us. You get the
for-
pleasure of
for
seeing
chance.
both of us tomorrow.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. I need to be picked up, by the way.
No
Okay,
worries.
we'll come pick you up. Don't worry.
Okay, brilliant.
All right, nice one, Grandpa. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Let's enjoy the game. There you
Big
go.
up, Grandpa, as
it.
always. The voice of reason, my Grandpa is. And let's go on to our next guest, and that is Michael. How you doing, Michael? You're on mute, or someone's.
Hello? I heard something.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
better.
Yes.
Yeah,
Michael, I
sorry,
know
my
you've been
headphones
calling.
Well,
You've been calling into the channel quite a bit recently, but you haven't been speaking with us. But I felt like I haven't spoken to you in ages. So how you doing?
Yeah, long time no see actually. Yeah, I've been a bit busy with my own stuff, so it was kind of hard to find time, especially during days, because like on evening shows, I am more likely to join. But Good Morning, those shows are harder for me to join.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now I found some time, so yeah, maybe something about the sporting game. Because actually, funny story. I was on a car and I had the stream in the background of the game, right? And I got to my destination at 88th minute, and I started unpacking and doing all the stuff, with like carrying my things to the apartment, and it was 0-0 when I got out of the car, and 5 minutes later I came upstairs, checked the score on the phone, and it was 2-0. And I honestly couldn't believe it. But what I got from that game, and because I watched only 88 minutes, right? I felt that this game was a bit better than many people make it out to be. I know, like in the grand scheme of things, the scoreline was disappointing, and of course we wanted to win, but I don't feel like it was that bad, considering that our players didn't put up a shift. In my opinion, many of them at least didn't. But we still managed to hold Sporting at bay, and I feel like draw would have been a fair outcome of that game. So yeah, there were plenty of players' performances that we can critique them for, but I think in general the team wasn't as bad as many make it out to be.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, and I think me and Sim both said after the game that we felt that we had an element of control for the majority of that game, and we got let down with a few defensive errors at the end, and maybe we should have done better in front of goal as well. And it was the last really ball in the final third that let us down consistently with Emerson and other players as well, which was frustrating to see. But in terms of the narrative forming in the Spurs fan base at the moment, a lot of fans not seeming to be happy, even though we haven't lost a Premier League game since March. We're sitting unbeaten in the Premier League right now this season. What's your kind of thinking to how Spurs have been this season so far, the start of the season?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily too happy with the way our football is, because like after all, first of all I'm fan of the sport, and after that I'm fan of Tottenham. Like it's really close together. But my biggest priority is to watch good football, and I don't subscribe to the idea that defensive football is bad football, because there are plenty of defensive teams that give you a lot of like emotions. Like look at the match against City last season, right? It was like a thrilling match, really exciting to watch, right? But we weren't offensive, and we weren't pinging the ball around. So I feel like I don't mind if we play like 5 at the back, and we try to defend, try to hit on the counter attack. It's just I feel like certain like players aren't performing up to their standard. And what I connect that with is that the ending of last season, we were brilliant in many matches, and that raised the bar quite high in my opinion. And now we saw this team probably at its best, and we expect that to happen right now. So in general, I am really happy with the outcomes of matches. I think that it's brilliant that we haven't lost a match in the Premier League yet, because we probably will lose eventually, right? Mm-hmm. But if
mate, we're going unbeaten this season.
Invincibles 2.0, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I feel like if certain circumstances were different and you told me that we are unbeaten after 7 matches, because I think that we'll beat Leicester comfortably, right? All of us would be buzzing, but for some reason many of us are feeling down, which again, I understand why people don't enjoy watching how we perform on the pitch, but you cannot deny that the score lines are really good, that we are solid and we are defensively compact, which is really important for me, because after all, I would much rather win a game 1-0 than lose it 3-2 or something, right? So yeah, in general, I am happy with the scorelines. I'm not necessarily too happy with the way certain players are playing. And I'm not only talking about Son. I feel like there are plenty of other players who aren't performing like up to the standards that they've set last season. But I think that this international break will be really important, because it gives some breathing time to some players. Also, Conte spoke plenty about many players that he will be able to use after the international break, mainly Skip, Bissouma, and Doherty, right? He mentioned it in the press conference. So yeah, I am excited for that match, and I am buzzing for the North London derby after the international break. I feel like we should be a bit more positive, and it's just that strange feeling that I feel like we started like I don't know what's the English expression to say that, but it all started, the spiral of negativity started rolling, and we just started to be more and more negative, even though there isn't much reason to be negative, right? Because there are plenty of people calling for like heads to get chopped, and for certain players or managers to get sacked or whatever, which is ridiculous for me. We are performing maybe not really well, but we are getting the job done. So yeah, I feel like we should be more positive in general.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely spot on there. Absolutely spot on. In terms of the coming into the game on the weekend, a few selection headaches, like you mentioned before, Sonny. What do you do with the front three? Who would you start this weekend?
I have a strange feeling that maybe not strange feeling. I am almost certain that we will see pretty much the same 11 that we saw against Sporting, which I know many people won't be happy about. But just judging by Conte's comments, I don't feel like there will be more than like 2 changes maximum, in my opinion. And those changes will, in my opinion, be Langley for Davies. And I feel like we might see Sessegnon on the left and Perisic on the right. And I'm basing this off what Conte said, that Perisic can play on the right, and he commented clearly on Emerson being tired. So I feel like that might be the change. And in terms of front three, what I would hope for is either the Son, Kane, Kulu front three, or Richarlison, Kane, Kulu, and Son to come off the bench. And I've been critical of Sonny's performances, but I also feel like he gets a lot more criticism than he deserves, because I know that he hasn't scored. He has only 1 assist this season, but he's doing a lot of off the ball work and drawing defenders away from our other attackers, and he's passing the ball well. And I feel like he just, I'm still waiting for that first goal of his, because I feel like if he scores finally, that's we all are saying this, right? If he scores, then our Sonny will be back, because he is a confidence player. And I get why people want him to be dropped. I also wouldn't be that much against him starting against Leicester. So yeah, my most preferred one would be Richarlison, Kane, and Kulu, just because I want to see that combination. We haven't seen it yet. But I wouldn't mind if it was Son, Kane, and Kulusevski, or Son, Kane, and Richarlison. One thing, just about the front three, I don't know whose comment it was. I think I've heard it on David Harris, one of his shows, that Richarlison doesn't seem to work well with Royal, just because he's a lot more of a flair player that wants to dribble through the defenders to try to make a pass or score the goal himself, whereas Kulu was really good at making use of Royal's runs, because he was running deep into near the end line, and he was passing the ball to Kulu, and Kulu could make a cross, which I feel like that partnership was better. That's why I would probably want to see Richarlison on the left if Sonny was to get dropped. But as I said, I wouldn't mind any combination of the 4 players. And my most preferred one would be Richie, Kane, and Kulu.
I mean, it could be an actual good game for Sonny to get his confidence back this weekend, because it's a team that have a poor defence, maybe the worst defence so far in the Premier League, conceding 2 goals a game. He's going to get his chances, isn't he, this weekend? So maybe it is a good opportunity to keep Sonny in the team to get that confidence back.
Yeah. I think Leicester is the second worst defense in the league in terms of goals conceded and expected goals or something. I saw stuff like that. Expected goals against, sorry. Yeah, but I also feel like they are actually quite good offensively. It's just that their defense is really woeful. It's really bad. Only Bournemouth conceded less, and they conceded 9 goals in one game.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's I feel like we can capitalize massively on their weak defense. And as you said, Ben, if there is a game for certain players to gain confidence, it is this game, because we by all means we should rip them apart. I don't feel like we'll keep the clean sheet, but offensively I think we are sound. We should be good.
All right, what's your score prediction?
I was thinking about it, and I think I'm going to go for a mad one. I think it will be 4-2.
4-2.
I expect many goals to be both conceded and scored. I want to see. My main priority is not seeing a 0-0 scoreline at halftime, and I will be happy.
As long as we're not losing, then I'll take it.
Yeah, as long as we are not losing. But honestly, I would prefer, even if we were going to the halftime with 1 goal conceded and non-scored, because maybe it will light the fire up the asses of our players. I just don't want to see 0-0 at halftime, and I will be happy.
Big
All
up,
right.
Michael.
Nice one, Michael.
Good to chat to you again, and good to have you on. We'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, big up, guys.
Nice
Cheers.
one, Michael.
Come on. All right. Is that it? All right. That is it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Nice mammoth stream for you, 2.5 hours. Stay tuned because predicted lineup is coming your way. You have the late show with Tottenham on tour. 10:30. There's actually a lot of content coming your way. So predicted lineup probably around 7 o'clock. 10:30 you got the embargoed section. 1 in the morning you got the late show with Tottenham on tour, and then it's a match day tomorrow where at 4 o'clock is the pre-match pump up with David Harris and Sean from Talk Show Spurs, and then it's the match watch along with Marlon and Rez, followed by the post-match fan show, and then you're going to get all the stuff that you get post-match press conference vlogs and everything like that. So action-packed weekend on We Are Tottenham TV. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.
Spurs.